morning, Tartaria Australia and Autodidactic. How you going, buddy?
Good. Still getting over it, but good. We're back. We've put on a show and we're back.
I know you're back in Perth. Does it feel weird?
It does. A little bit warmer, which is good, but I got back and then suddenly it's all right. We've had a cold freeze, man. It's down to like 15 degrees at night. It's killing me.
So I get 15 degrees. Toughen up, Perth boy. Toughen up.
We went out on the last day, like we walked outside and Kelly's like, "Oh, look, the sun's out. It's a blue sky." And I looked at my phone, it was 8 degrees.
I know. Melbourne weather is pretty freezing in winter, I have to say. And look, we've just come back from a week of massive Tartarian stuff. We did the live event last weekend. Was it last weekend or was it the weekend? I kind of lost that time now.
Just had a weekend, so yeah, 2 ago. Wow.
Yep, 2 weekends ago. And then JCK flew out on the Monday, and then Cambell stayed with me till Thursday. And we did some pretty good stuff. We were at it every single day, marching around. I was determined to show Cambell everything I'd ever seen on the Tartarian landscape here in Melbourne. But of course, it's way too extensive. So we just focused in on the CBD. But we had some fun because the first time ever, all of the buildings are open and we can go inside and all the museums is there. So we felt like tourists for a couple of days.
It was good, fun. Like we didn't get stopped or anything. And then I was just like, I'm just walking, and no one, it was great. No one cared at all. So we got some good footage.
Yeah. So it was, the live event was absolutely amazing for everyone who was there and anyone who wasn't there. It just went off flawlessly. Everything was so electric and so activated, and everyone's energies were so high. And it's just so obvious to us that the nature of these events are so far past just looking at Tartarian architecture. It goes into this entire bringing the community together, brings together a consciousness, and that consciousness, it's like it's this electric mix of heart activation, of healing, of coming together, of community, of like-minded souls, all there basically to enjoy the topic and enjoy chewing on these expansive thoughts, but primarily just to really embody the idea that we are this consciousness that's emerging through this, last 2 years and into this sort of like new earth template. And it was extraordinary, Cambell. Wasn't it just an amazing day?
Yeah, like people are ready to create again now, and that's the thing with this topic is, just the buildings, and the basics, they get your imagination flowing again, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we want to go, obviously with Kelly, we want to go in that imagination, and that's how you create, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all these people who know, wiring and firing, had their imaginations going, they were ready to, meet, interact and build new things. So, this whole topic, it gets people ready, right, to build the new world. So it was awesome. So we're doing the whole country, guys. And we're going to try and get overseas. So we'll be near you soon. So make sure you can. You can.
It was pretty amazing because we didn't really know how the day would pan out. We just knew to do the day and to bring everyone together and bring JCK in and like meld our two audiences, which were a perfect match. The Quantum Truth audience with the Tartaria Australia. It was just beautiful match. And like we had just such an easy flow with the dialogue. And what's so fun is that every single show we do will be completely different in the dialogue because we'll have this time period between each show, two months or so, where we're constantly updating our theories and our thoughts and tuning in more information. And as a result, each show should be, 10 times more insightful than the next one and the next one, because our energy is to drive that evolution of our thinking down into the conversation. And one thing that was so amazing was the march the next day. Oh my God, it was pissing down with rain. It was freezing cold. We were like, there is no way anyone is going to join us on this march. No way. Like, we turned up out of courtesy, thinking there might be a few diehard strugglers there. We better go and be present. But my God, we got to the exhibition center, turned a corner, and like, bang, there was like half the audience were there. It was amazing.
There was. There must have been almost 100 people there. And then somehow within 5 minutes, we doubled to about 200. I don't know where everyone came from, but and then there was just a massive group of us just moving through Melbourne. It was
so
and of course
fun.
we got lost and split up. And then so I just said, "Bugger, let's sit down." I sat down and everyone just literally just walked in from all different directions. It was the funniest.
We see we're tuned in, Campbell. We're telepathically linked here.
I didn't have a phone. My phone was broken, but I was on the
sorted that out, that annoying complexion of his technology. So what was amazing about the day is that we obviously, I have marched these streets now for the last 2 years, and so I was very able to take people on a walk really effortlessly because I've been doing it myself. But we had no like set route or plan, but within the day, we did manage to see so many extraordinary buildings. And the feedback I've got is just people were blown away because they've never seen Melbourne in this way before. But what is so important and why we're encouraging this, and every live event we do, we will do the march, because the next day we'll package it a bit differently as we sort of get better at like knowing how to contain all of this. But so important, because the whole key here with Tartaria consciousness is that we have, for the first time ever almost, an opportunity very tangibly to ground people's truth in their own eyes. Like all this disclosure in the truth movement, it's so lofty and intangible and involves insiders and intel and all this fucking secret shit that like does your head in after a while. All of you would have had your head in done after a while, because you're just listening to these stories, but nothing's grounded in your reality. Whereas with Tartaria, it's like, now you've heard it all. Now you've broken through all that programming and everything's changed in your mind. Let's go ground it outside. Let's go look at these buildings, see it with your own eyes, touch them, poke them, be in experience with it. And for the first time ever, that truth process you go through in your mind is grounded into reality, which allows you a stable foundation to keep rising. I love it for that, Campbell.
Exactly. And we've got some amazing ideas on that, which you'll have to attend the next event to find out. But this is the thing, we just decided to do this. We didn't know how it was going to happen, but we just knew it would, right? We just, it's that saying, we didn't know how to do it, but we did it anyway. And even though it looked, to us along the way, especially to Kelly, who had to sort it all out, it looked like there was, lots of, obstacles, right? But they all turned out to be blessings, in the end. Yeah. And it literally went off without a hitch. And obviously we want to say a massive thank you to everyone who helped, all the volunteers, everyone who just jumped in and helped and gave us all, gifts and all this kind of stuff. And absolutely, it was just amazing. And it just all came together. Like literally it was like, I was stressing up to like 5 minutes before the show. And then as soon as it started, it was literally seamless, wasn't it? It was just amazing. And we were just out the back doing the show, so it was everyone else who was making it run really perfectly, and there was no plan, no training. It just all happened. So
it was beautiful, and courageous also for the three of us, because obviously we've been standing here behind Zoom for the last however many years, and Zoom sort of like packages you in a certain way, and you're conscious of how you appear and look and talk and process. And when you go into a live audience to a live event, like you don't know how you're going to respond to that sort of context or that audience. And it was really, so like for all of us, with all of our different, ailments or whatever, like, it's like, we had to take all of us in all our authenticity to that stage and expose us all in every sense of the word. And, from that process, just trust that for the last 2 years, we've really honed in on the ability to converse. So, and I really feel that all three of us were very authentic on stage, and, we all sort of like presented our personalities really, really great for the conversation. I feel like it was just so easy to talk and to keep the flow.
It was just easy. That's the thing. It was just easy. And we, again, there was no script. There was, the script was literally, talk about history. That was the script for the first 3 hours, right? But we weren't talking over each other. We were just melding, and it just flowed really well. It just felt good. And like Cal said, we are real. We did get up there, but we've all got our ailments,
Like I felt like a fucking giant. I felt like a giant on stage because I was so tall and big, and everyone sort of get its real image. And I know JCK, she was feeling really small, and and you had your arm that was sort of like, also the three of us are just standing there up there, as you guys, as individuals, rough, like being in our bedrooms for the last 2 years, like, not in the best conditions, this planet, nor are we really. And it's going to be really nice over the next couple of years to watch us all regenerate ourselves, not us, just us, but our audience, and watching the audience like bring that health and vitality back through these events and through connection again. And we do a follow-up thing with the events, which is the group work. So everyone on the event gets a colored dot, which shows you where you're located in the city, like north, east, south, or west. And those dots have been put into groups. And then they will be having a social event with me here in Melbourne, just to do some more work on achieving impossible dreams. Because, like, goal 1, deprogram the mind. Goal 2, ground that information with your own eyes outside in your city. Goal 3, like, let's bring your impossible dream to the surface, name your obstacle, and commit to getting rid of it. And those things together create the template for the new earth. And I'm pumped, man. I think it's a formula for amazing stuff.
Yeah, and that's the plan. We want to go around to, all the capitals. Like we said, we're happy to do regionals.
Yeah.
But we want to leave, little groups behind us, right? Little pods of people that are interacting and that grow bigger. And so next time we come back, those groups are bigger again, and we can add to them. And we don't want this to be a come and see us and get all happy and go, ooh, and then go home and go, that was awesome. Oh, now I'm sitting here on the couch alone again.
We've got to break this isolation pattern.
Exactly. Isolation is a dream killer.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to smash it with Tartaria Australia. That's our whole purpose. So everyone,
invigorated.
Woo! And so for the next event, we're also choosing the events. JCK's dowsing it for us. We're not like doing it in any practical, like, mind way. We're going to use the pendulum and choose the locations and when and where and how. And the first one that we got was Brisbane is the next live event. Hello, Bris Vegas and all the Northern Rivers crew. We are pumped to see you. We're coming in September on the 24th that's a Saturday, and we'll be running it over Saturday and Sunday. And it's going to be like every event. It is our aim to get more and more luxurious, more and more beautiful, more and more. We're going to lift everything up. So the venues, the food, the socializing, everything's going to get more and more and more easy, beautiful, gorgeous, aesthetic, or whatever. Just so you come out of this feeling like you've been at a very special event.
Exactly. I mean, if you think of Tartaria, we don't think of rags and secondhand things, right? We think of the best of everything, right? Handmade, custom, tailored, best of the best, and
high levels of nutrition,
high value, high wealth consciousness. And wealth is just value, guys. It's just value. And so as we're creating this new world, we need to have that wealth value inside us, or we can't match it. We can't go there. So that's going to be a big part. Is in our being, the people we are, the way we think. A lot of us, sort of have issues with money and the system and all this, but that's another mission. Is we're going to break that, and it's going to be wealth, because we all deserve, right, to be wealthy, to have abundance, and that's what the new earth is. So that's going to be exactly creating. I mean, in a year, we're going to be turning up in robes and
that's right. Tartarian fashion. It's coming, everyone. It's coming. You know what's so exciting? Like when we're walking around Melbourne, and basically this is our introduction to all the footage that Cambell and I took on our marches around Melbourne, compiled into one show, which we're introducing now on this podcast. And it's going to be like, so tune in, because the question is, who the fuck built Melbourne? And it wasn't us. And we just basically went to all of the well, the ones that we get to in the time span we have, buildings, but when you see it all together, whoa, mind blown. It's like no one imagines Melbourne or Australia to be this European in that feeling of a city. Like it shouldn't feel and be like this. And the disparity between 1938, when Melbourne is just like, you know, the Yarra, the paddocks, not even paddocks, just like grasslands with no infrastructure, to 1888, when it basically is this city behind me. Like this is from 1888, like that 50-year period. So we could probably say that 30-year period, like the explosion of Melbourne going from grass, dirt to a full-blown city that's behind Cambell. That's Collins Street. That's an etching of Collins Street from the 1800s. I mean, does that look like a city that was built on the grasslands in, 20 years previously? No. So it's been an amazing thing. And one thing that we came out of that is like understanding that on the wealth topic, Cambell, understanding that like all of these wealthy idols, these families, these aristocratic families, or these well perceived and abundant bloodlines, or these amazing innovators, or these highly knowledgeable beings that have generated so much wealth that we look up to them. And we realized very clearly that that's all bullshit. Like these people, these family lines, these individuals, right down to like the Richard Bransons of the world, didn't do this out of hard work. They did it because they were gifted the real estate. That was already there. They didn't build it, they didn't innovate it, they didn't have the extra knowledges or extra skills or extra they just were gifted it. And they did that to define the culture and the wealth disparity. So if you were in alignment with the program, here's your estate, and you are from here on in gifted with the wealth of an estate, therefore a wealth for all time in your family bloodline. And you over here, you're not part of that programming. So you go and build a slum out of corrugated iron. But what it did for us is like set it up that, religion, like churches, fucking universities, like all these people had a special talent for money, or special talent for innovation, or special talent, but it's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That whole self-help money thing of the 80s and 90s was just bullshit. It was just another money. I used it as a money grab. But this is the thing. So, Melbourne, 1835, like they literally say, I think they say there was like 10 men and 2 women.
Oh, it was so funny. That was nothing, at the National Treasury Museum.
Yeah, nothing. And then 1848, it became a city. And then by 1860, pretty much, it was built out. And then behind Kelly is 1880. So this is the thing, the time frame is the big thing about Australia. So just keep that in mind, when you see this video and all these buildings, right? Pretty much everything you'll see we were told was built. There you go, 1880.
Look at that.
Built sort of 50 or 40, I guess, in 1880 in a 40-year period. Like everything you see. And these things are ridiculous, massive, same questions, right? Too big, all the stuff. So
all the stuff, too big, all too fucking big. And why if you're going to build one cathedral for a new colony, why do you need to build 10? If you're going to build one town hall, why do you need every precinct to have a town hall? Like all too big, too big, too big. Does not make any economic sense to a burgeoning nation. Fuck, on the gold mines, Cambell, we'll talk about that in the next podcast, the gold rush.
The gold rush, that's a big one. And that's another thing we just because we had a week together pretty much, we've got about 4 or 5 shows that we want to do now. Like we've just come across we just got so many ideas just through talking. And Melbourne, of course, just... The airship towers. Oh my God, this place is insane, guys. This place. So this goes for a bit, but basically this is me and Kel walking around Melbourne with my new phone camera and about buildings, and we get to go inside some of them. So enjoy.
Enjoy, everyone. Woo! We'll see you next week. Who the fuck built Melbourne? You tell us. You tell us.
So what's this called?
This is in Patrick's Cathedral.
Alright, this is St. Patrick's Cathedral in Melbourne.
Yeah, the history on this one is strange. Like, there's a construction photo apparently of this building, but all the buildings behind the construction photo look very much more recent than the actual construction. This was apparently the first foundations were laid in 1858. But according to the history, it took 10 years. But it was interrupted by the gold rush, where every able-bodied man was taken away to the gold. But we can clearly see that the style of this building is so very consistent, so consistent. And it, like, if you go down Campbell, you can see that, like, we're standing on the road here, but it goes down and then it goes down again. So there's so much depth to this building. And as we walk around, we'll start to see the mud-flooded windows. But yeah, I mean, how classically typical are all of this? What do you call these spiky
spires?
Spires.
It's very inspiring, isn't
Yeah.
it? Don't know what the little bits are, but they're on everything. Those little knobby bits.
Yep.
You know, most they love to rip them off, but on all the old ones, they're always there.
So I've never actually got to go inside here yet because of lockdown. So let's see if we can go into the. And look at that window, very, 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 very top of the steeple.
Oh yeah.
Like, why? I had to show Campbell this one. It's so, like, decorative.
There's
and
a window up
glorious.
there, right at the top.
Yeah.
And if you can see, there's these crosses, but they're not Christian crosses. There's one there. So that is an antenna, I would say. But because they look slightly cross-like, they can leave them on, right, and call them Christian.
Like, just imagine in 1858, like, or even if this took 10 years with their narrative, how people were getting right up the top there to build that. Like, that is so high.
It is so high.
No, like, scaffolding or security. Like, what are those big machines, those things behind us? None of
The
that.
big, like, cranes and hoists.
Yeah. So,
And the thing
it's
is,
so ridiculous.
And when it's a steeple that points in, it makes it even harder to get scaffolding up there.
Exactly, and it's perfect.
It's perfect, absolutely. Every side, like, what is it, an octagon? Every side's the same size. It's in an octagon that goes into a point. It's ridiculous.
To put those little windows in there, I mean, like, it's an unbelievable construction for that time zone.
This would have already had a lot of stuff taken off of it.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have been in its full glory either.
Yeah. Let's go check out the front.
Just ridiculous.
Look at that dude with the water coming out. Faces everywhere. These faces,
got to face a face. And some more up there. We've got two women. On the bottom, and it looks like every single window at the bottom, we've got these faces. At the bottom of the ark or the firmament, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, there's faces everywhere, and none of these faces have anything to do with the Christian church. Look at that dude. Right, and you can see that's a water spout.
Yeah.
So is that where the bad water comes out that they don't want people to drink?
He's got little devil horns.
And then when we see the fish and the nice faces, that's where the water you're supposed to drink comes out. What do you reckon? And then look at that. Just insane.
When we're
Okay, this is one of the faces now. Who is it? Jesus, God, or Moses? You tell me. I mean, this is the thing, guys. What has any of this got to do with the Catholic Church? Right, look at that. And these faces are everywhere. There's two more up there under the windows. Just mad.
I mean, look how intricately the blue stone's been laid. Look, it's perfect. Every single gap, every single shape has been cut out. It's almost to laser perfection. Right through when they go up the joins here and all sorts of different sizes. Like, if you think about what this means, like, what we've been told is that this bluestone was from a quarry here in Melbourne, and then found, dug up, and then hand cut to size, and then laid perfectly at this sort of scale.
At that scale.
I mean, we can't even do this with bricks.
No.
Like,
That's
this
the
is
thing.
raw materials.
Yeah, bricks are all the same size.
Yeah.
These are all not. These are all just randomly different size, but they've been laid in a certain way.
Yeah.
You can see big, small, medium, big, small. It's just, and is that as well one of the reasons that these buildings are still standing so well, that they're not just made by uniform bricks.
No.
Because as we know, all the, what we're told of the ancient, the big megalithic structures, they're built the same way.
Yeah.
They're not with regular bricks.
I mean, just really contemplate, guys. This was raw stone out of a quarry. This wasn't shipped over. This is raw stone that people had to cut in detail. I don't know if anyone here's ever made a stone wall or a stone fence.
just like
the
a rough stone.
Of time.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous. So.
All right, let's go.
And back in the 1880s, no power tool, small population, and no trained people.
Okay, so now we're going to go inside the cathedral, and of course we had to be quiet, so there's no commentary by Kel or myself while we're in there, but you will hear this organ, this huge, amazing old pipe organ playing in the background, and I'll do a bit of talking in the silent bits. So let's get into it. So the sound and the frequency in this cathedral was amazing, and if you've ever been in a proper cathedral with a pipe organ, you'll know what I'm talking about. You feel this music. It literally, it penetrates you, it goes through you, and this is what these are. These are frequency, generators. They're places where you literally can feel closer to the Creator, closer to God, because you're feeling that frequency of God, of health, of knowledge, all this information encoded into those sounds. And of course this is what these structures were originally made for. And here is the organ, and as you can see it is huge, and it's on the top floor, but it does go down lower at the back there, and it's sitting up on an ornate wooden carved platform. Got the window behind it, of course, the big which probably would have been stained glass. I don't think it's stained glass at the moment. And also just all these, very familiar logos and motifs, carved into the wooden design and the windows. And look at the top of that, looking like the top of the steeples, right? This is the organ. Like it's all showing the same thing, the same features.
It's a big monstrance.
So
I tell you, it's a monstrance, man. Yeah, exactly.
Scale and height. So it's like a big eye.
days. So this cathedral, St Patrick's, again built in 10 years between 1858 and 1868 in Melbourne. Now Melbourne was deemed a city in 1848, so just 10 years before, and this took less than a year to design because they decided to build it, and then the construction started within less than a year. And we're told that there were no people at all in the Melbourne region until 1835. So just 23 years after the first people arrived in the region, they built this. They had the factories apparently for the glass, the tin, the woodworking, the cement, etc., etc.
Contemplate the construction of this building on the outside, what's behind us. I mean, if you like listen to the narrative, it just say that's all real, 10 years to do all of that. But then if you go on the inside, it's unbelievable. Like the scale and the archways and the stonework, unbelievable. Like that in itself would be another 10 years. For this sort of thing to be built today, what do you reckon? What would it take to build this today?
I mean, just to design that and the intricacies, it's not a square. Like every single wall is on a different angle.
Yeah.
All the turrets are hexagons. I mean, just to design this with today's, with today's software and computer, you'd be taking 5 years easy just to design it.
And can like in our lifetimes, in everyone's lifetime, all of our audience, like, have you ever seen the construction of anything like have you ever seen them construct anything? Parliament House, General Post Office, a university, a hospital, anything like a cathedral. It just doesn't. We don't see it in our whole lifetime.
Never seen it.
No.
So it was all here. And as you can see, we're standing on steps.
Oh
so
yeah,
so we've
totally
had to come
down and up and down
then,
and up.
So this is this is it, and you'll see as we go down, so does the ground.
And then we have to go up to get to the street level.
And then when we come around here, there's that many steps to get up to the street level. And of course, old world ironworks everywhere. Just amazing.
This is the old Salvation Army offices, I guess. But I mean, hello, it's just like a castle sitting here in the middle of the street.
And of course, we know every good army needs a good castle. But again, the top of these turrets, they're platforms.
Yeah.
That's a platform.
Yeah.
So if they just rip something off the top of them, are we talking airship ports, you know? They love us to have our passports, don't they, right?
Like, why would a beginning colony need to build a castle in the middle of the street?
What has this possibly got to do with a new city in Australia? And people, trying to find its identity, right? It's got nothing at all to do with it.
It's got the original
And of course, this wrought iron we see
everywhere.
Always the same designs, which of course are the same kind of motifs that we see at the top of all the columns. This sort of floral thing, the fleur-de-lis kind of thing.
And look at
Just
that.
everywhere.
I mean, that's a pretty epic
It's just
little
insane.
mini castle hanging out. Just for the hell of
I think
it.
Let's go and say hello to King Arthur. What do you reckon, eh? All right, and here we have some more of this cast iron that we see everywhere. Of course, on these walls, they've all got their little intricate bits in them.
Bits and bobs.
Bits and bobs. And this thing is, what would that be, 12 foot, 14 foot high?
Yeah.
So, you know, not built for people our size. Like, again, why would you build things, you know, 4 or 5 times as big as they need to be when you're starting a brand new country and colony? Makes no sense.
So we were sitting in front of this the other day, Cambell and I, at night time. It was just so fucking beautiful with all the lights coming through the windows. But we'll cross over and have a proper look at it. And I'll get the history up.
Look at this thing. It's got everything, the portals, the domes, crowns on the top, anti-detect, the little wrought iron fencing we see on the top. There's a big spire up on this.
So it's saying that it was established in 1854. I love that word. Established. Meaning,
wasn't built.
Yeah, we decided it was a thing.
Yep, we established the fact.
And
that
then it was torn down and rebuilt in 1886.
Of course.
It reflects the opulence of the marvellous Melbourne boom period. So I'll see if I can find.
So this is the front of that theatre, and at the moment they're playing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Now look at that for a bit of symbolism, right? We've got the wings on a nest with a child inside it. And of course, what is going on in the greater world at the moment?
All right.
If we can. So on the top here, you'll see
I know.
little dragons.
Little dragon lamps.
Oh,
Dragons
they
are very
are.
consistent in the buildings here in Melbourne. You see them everywhere. And of course, this building has the beautiful chained uniform motif at the top. 3 giant crowns, which are interesting.
Our lion and chained unicorn,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was taken off the Australian seal in the 1870s, when they tried to tell us the Queen of Australia existed. Of course, she doesn't. Let's meet the Queen of Australia.
The crowned unicorn is so curious. So what's beautiful about this building is that when you look at it, you can really see like what the culture would have looked like. Like you can see the energy of the gold and the decorations and the metalwork, and you can really get a sense of how, when you're surrounded by buildings like this, how the whole how the people would have stood taller and literally were taller, the clothes would have been grander. It has so much information in this building, and that's probably the one thing. This is why these buildings act like codes and activators for us, because of the level of information.
Exactly. So if we look over here, you'll see some boxes of glass.
Yeah.
Now, the amount of information held in those facades and what we can see is nothing, and we know because we just glance by them.
Yeah.
When you look at something like this, the amount of information, we can sit down and just stare at this building for hours.
Yeah, hours.
Because there is so much information encoded in it.
And look at the one next to it. Like, what do
And
you get
then,
from that?
then you get that.
So you can see the real contrast. So when we talk about Tartarian consciousness, this is the shift. You're literally going to be looking at buildings that like activate information and dormant knowledge in your DNA that's been part of the programming. So
exactly. So are these buildings that are activated, something that's been left for us to remind us of who we are and where we've come from?
Yeah.
Got the information encoded, and like Kelly said, this thing's still covered in gold.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is obviously not the original. This would have been stripped. You know, they would have stripped a lot of this off. So this isn't even as good as it gets, but this is pretty bloody awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And these stained glass windows, man, I mean, look at that. They're just
I love stained glass windows.
cool.
I just love it so much, and we just don't do it like this anymore. We don't. No. There's no artists that do this. It's not part of our cultural design. And why would you give up such a gorgeous craft?
Well,
like, why would we drop that out of our design? We wouldn't.
I mean, just look at these supports that are holding up the veranda.
So decorative.
They are so decorative. Like
Yeah.
now we just use a straight piece of,
Yeah.
you know, metal, probably with screws on each end. But look at these, they're all custom made, they're all artists. So even just those have so much information
Yeah.
encoded compared to just a straight
And
block.
every single window, every round window, the windows on top of the domes, the stained glass window, the low, every single window has so much information.
Everything.
And you can't stare at this properly from our point of view and not be transformed. Like, you just can't do it. It's impossible. You're being
wonder.
activated.
It's wonder. It makes us wonder.
It
Because
does.
it's wonderful. It's full of wonder.
And we won't negate to tell you that Harry Potter and the cursed child is playing here right now.
Exactly so.
The cursed child.
And look what they've got down there, right? They've got the wings on a clock. Time.
The ether and time.
Time, and of course the whole children
Time
thing,
loops.
we
Time
know.
loops.
Let's do the time warp again. So again, all this wrought iron
Yeah.
fencing, it's all
And
over
look, if you
Melbourne.
look back there, you can see the mud flooded. Look at the
Yeah,
levels.
look at the levels on this
Going
building. And look at the size of this building.
I love
not
this building.
built flat, not built flat.
This building has so many beautiful details around the banisters, and every window is like carved like you would imagine a Roman cathedral with a European royal house. And it's interesting with Cambell about this because they really did define our culture with who they left the buildings for. The buildings that got left and not destroyed were handed to parliaments or libraries or universities or churches or aristocratic families. So it defined wealth and intellect contained in a building.
Yep,
But the stonework on this building is just beautiful.
ridiculous. And the size,
It's so big.
it's massive.
Huge columns.
And of course, what do
And
we have?
and the lights.
The lights,
The
these
lights
lights
are
are
just beautiful, I
ridiculous.
know.
And there's so many crowns in
Yeah.
Melbourne. Everything is crowned, right? And of course, what did they do? They stole the crown, right? Everything's crown and crown land, and
Again,
again,
you see
you've got
the same ironwork.
got the foliage, the nature motifs.
Yeah.
And then of course, what do we have down here? But underground levels. And this foundation, another thing with Melbourne is there's a lot of bluestone.
Yeah.
And bluestone is notoriously hard.
So hard.
So hard to carve, but it looks exactly the same as when we see they do it when they use the limestone.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
And perfectly squared off.
Perfectly.
Perfect.
Like this is, there's not a builder alive that could build like this perfectly. There's not.
Without tools, excuse me, and power. And actually, there's a lot of pictures of this building with the mud flood.
And
You can read
again, just look at that window. Look at what's encoded just in that. You could stare at that for an hour,
Yeah.
right?
And
Compared
then all
to
the detail underneath
that.
as well. Yeah.
right. Yep. This one up here. And what are these for? What are they going to tell us? Is that where the taxation parliament dude came and
I know.
stood and spoke to his people? Like, what are these balconies? They make no sense at all. And these lights are just like every single one is crowned.
I mean, and don't forget, everyone, we're in Melbourne right now.
We're in
not
Melbourne.
we're not in Europe.
Exactly right. And look across the road. What is that? What is that? So this whole city, let's see if I can get in there.
Yeah, look at the street level.
Oh,
So the street level where the cars are currently, we go, and then we go up, and then we go up.
yeah, exactly right. So there's so many sets of steps to get up here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
street level down there. We've got about 5 steps or so here.
Yeah.
Going down, and then that whole street goes down, and then we turn around, steps going up
Alright,
and
let's
up
go.
again,
Let's go have a look up.
and then
up,
we
up,
have
up.
this. And yeah, guys, this is Australian.
This is the Melbourne Parliament House. Oh, and the doors, the beautiful doors on this Parliament. And like one thing we were questioning is like, why would you need a door every metre? But
Exactly.
you'll see there's basically so many doors. We
Just
won't be able to go in.
ridiculous. But then look at these lights again on the doorways, like they're.
Oh, and the mosaic.
And of course,
Melbourne
and these are
has-
in all the houses in Melbourne have these on their verandas and
the
things.
arcades have the most amazing mosaics. But look at the
And-
scale. Do a thing.
Again, How is this Australian? How has this got... This is one of the first Parliament buildings built in Australia. What's this got to do with Australia?
Do a span up. Up and across. I mean, what do they remind you of? The dome,
Now, what is that?
Maru, the 4 continents, the 4 oceans.
Yep,
coming out.
exactly. So this is our realm, right? Magnetic pole in the middle, 4 land masses, 4 rivers, and of course all held up on pillars.
And there's
Steel, right?
these beautiful doorways. I love them.
And these are just, go stand in front. How big's that doorway, Kelly?
Yeah.
So there you go. Quite a big doorway, as you can see, at least 3 times as tall as Kelly. So that's a 20-foot doorway, guys. And of course, who's that dude? Is that our first Parliament? Our first Prime Minister? I don't think so. And those motifs, and they were on the fences as well that we just looked at on the cast iron. They were built into the base of the. So everything is the same theme here, but
it really
it's
is.
not
Melbourne's
Australian.
Very consistent.
Not Australian. Okay, so we're just next to. This is the Parliament. They're actually doing some restoration work, or they're restoring the iron, right? But this is next one. You can see how far down it goes. Right, this drops straight down, all walled off. So, what is underneath us?
So this was built in 1884.
Look at this. So this is called the Hotel Windsor.
Apparently it was completed in 1884.
1884. So literally, what are we talking? 36 years after Melbourne became a city.
I mean, how
And about 50 years after the first people were in the Melbourne area. We're told it was 1835 that the first people sort of started, sort of living and setting up a few farms. And then within 50 years we've got this. And this is just one of them, guys. We had this and like another couple of 100 buildings.
I mean, it's so beautiful.
Just ridiculous.
Actually, there's a museum there. We might actually be able to get in.
Alright, so this is the Treasury Building, guys.
Right.
What did you say, Kelly? 4 years to build. 1858, started 10 years after Melbourne was a city. Tiny population, but they needed a building like this. Of course, and this is one of hundreds. So now look at these stairs, guys. So there's some pictures of this building just in the mud with no stairs. Now they've got, and you can see the angle, right? This is where we are here, and it just gets bigger and bigger as we go down the hill. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, at least 13 to 15 steps to get up there, and then more steps up at the doors. So this thing has been built right up. Why is that? How many stories was it originally?
I'm excited because there's a museum here I haven't been able to get into.
Alright guys, we're going to try and get in.
But Campbell, you have to be very subtle with your language.
I know,
alright?
I know. I got in trouble. I got in trouble in the cathedral because I was too loud. So,
this city is super.
okay, we're going James Bond thing.
Yeah. Tourists from
Perth, we know nothing. Okay guys, so this says Melbourne 1882. Now check out the build out here. Now again, Melbourne, the first people, Mr. Batman, came to the area 1835. Melbourne was a city in 1848. This is 34 years after it was made a city and about 50 years after the first people were in this region. Look at the build out. This whole, it's just completely built out. And we're talking cathedrals. Look at these cathedrals. Right? Why do you need 3 next to each other?
The one we just went to.
There's one here. Where's
that's the exhibition. So this is the one we just went
exhibition
to.
centre.
We just went to St Patrick's Cathedral. This one
St.
here.
Patrick's, that one there. Is what we were
really
inside.
amazing structures.
And we've got the bridges, we've got railways, tracks and stations, we've got docks, we've got...
So this is the Supreme Court. This is amazing. I don't know if we'll get there today, but all this is still here in Melbourne. It's practically all still here.
Gardens, got all laid out, in laid out city. And these, we've got 4 or 5 story buildings here, guys.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just and then if you look up in the background, it just fades off into the distance. And then out here, look at this. The University of Melbourne. Look at that building just sitting out there by itself. Because that's what you need to build for a university in a city that's 50 years old.
They're saying here that the sewage system, they started to solve in 1889, which means all of this behind you, what you've just filmed, was built without a sewage system.
Oh my God, nice one. So by the 1880s, the cause of disease such as typhoid were well known in medical circles, but governments and city admins could not agree on a sewage solution.
Yeah.
Death rates continued to be high. Finally, in 1889, the damning report of the Royal Commission and Sanitary Commission of Melbourne shocked the government. So in 1891, they established to put in a sewage system. What do we have here, guys? 1882. Okay, this is 9 years prior to anything being put underground.
I keep telling him to whisper.
I'm getting very excited. So they
no
built
sewage,
this,
yeah.
then they came in, and I guess they dug tunnels under everything and put the sewage in, all the electric power, because of course at this point they tell us it was all gas, or everything, guys. This was built on top, then they went underneath and did everything else. I mean, come on.
Camel's pump.
Come on.
1,300 buildings of brick. By 1846, just a brick, not stone.
And then of course we get these photos they love to show us. Again, brick buildings, not level, no roads.
So, 1836.
The map is in that room.
1836. Okay, Cambell. So look, August 1836 here in Melbourne. They count the inhabitants. There's 142 men and 36 women, 100 cattle and 26,000 sheep. This is in 1836. So the image we just saw was like 40 years later.
Yep, 40.
So that's pretty crazy,
43
isn't it?
years. So this, and yeah, wow. Okay, guys.
So I mean, like that's 142 men, and in 40 years, these two groups of people had babies enough, and more people came in to build what we just saw.
Exactly.
Insane stuff. So this is a panorama of 1860s. So this is 1875, and we start to get this. So that's a jump of only, 30, 40 years? And this isn't even probably government house. So this just all looks very mud flooded, doesn't it, team? Like, this just looks like mud. Like, because this here, that's where we've just been. That's government house, where we were just. And this, yeah, anyway. Where do you even start? Here we go. So we've sitting down Collins Street. Look, basically, Melbourne looks like it's like, look at these muddy streets. Like, these are just like, you build all this, and yet we still have these completely mudded out. Doesn't make any sense, does it? You'd have all the industry in to do all of this, and all the architectural and engineering design, but keep your streets just mud. I mean, like, when you look at this, and the construction and engineering that needs to take place to even contemplate something like this whole city at once. How is it that we're still in horse and cart? Like, the engineering feat of this is from a civilization that had, like, high technology, high engineering skills, high, air travel skills. They weren't in horse and cart.
And even just high thoughts, I mean, because of the way they built the buildings. They weren't building boxes. And this is the thing, like, before they tell us that there were no big buildings, then suddenly they just were everywhere. So
Okay.
How
Look.
did they gain this knowledge of architecture suddenly?
So we had gas lamps. Gas lamps in 1875. Apparently. If that's what these are.
So again, we showed that last picture of Melbourne completely built out, 1884, and they said that, you know, that everything was gas. So as well as the plumbing and the sewage, they had to go and put electrical pipes all under everything.
And to actually power gas, you need gas works.
You need gas lines anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
or else
it's like...
they didn't have gas bottles like we know them back in 1880. Okay, so
Well, they did. All right, let's go check out the rest.
okay, guys. So this is underneath. We're in the Treasury Building. This is a little room they've sort of made to show us how people were living back in the 1880s. And as you can see, they show us these funny little beds, these little rickety wooden, you know, tables and chairs. But they forget to tell you that they all sit inside these massive masonry buildings.
This is very stripped out, but it's interesting also that they have these massive feats of engineering, and yet, come and let me show you the bathroom.
Let's go check out the bathroom, right? So again, they try and make everything look colonial, right? Like people are making them in the backyard out of trees, but look at the house, look at the building it's in.
I mean, this is all bluestone.
And by the way, look at this ceiling,
Yeah.
arched red brick roof, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
So
This looks a bit like a
I
cistern
think
almost.
one of the easiest ways to look at this is that they've got massive, giant architectural feats, and yet we see time and time again the bathrooms and the toilets mirror this sort of thing. Like, they're not built into these buildings, they're not considered. And if you were a human being building these massive feats, you would put in toilets, showers, and I mean, you would.
You just would, because
would.
Everything else is, the fireplaces are in, everything else is built in perfectly,
I mean,
but they
you're
forget.
human. You need to wee and shower.
They just forget about
but they negate them.
food and
Yeah.
you know,
It's true.
the
Afterthought.
toilet.
This could have been the toilet maybe, or a cold room, but it's always an afterthought and it never fits with the engineering feat of this building.
Exactly. And especially when they're big government buildings, right, where people go to work, you got hundreds of people, they forget that they need to go to the toilet. And again, this is a curved ceiling.
I mean,
And look at the symmetry down there.
this could have been an aqueduct.
Yeah,
This could have
exactly.
been
This
for
look,
water.
this has got a feeling of like a cistern aqueduct type thing.
Right, here's where the lies begin.
And again,
Don't speak
see,
loudly, Josie, but this is where all the lies begin. The gold rush. This whole complete programmed lie basically is how they justify Melbourne in its existence, Brisbane in existence, Sydney in its existence, basically Australia.
that.
Yeah. I mean, if that was gold, that would be really fucking heavy, and you could not lift it. I don't know if you guys have felt an ounce of gold in your hands. It's like your hands
Very,
go. Boom.
very heavy.
You can't just pick that up as a little Chinese immigrant and get it all the way back here and then get it all the way on a tall ship and drive all the way back and all back. It's a ridiculous idea, and that has to come out of a rock.
Yeah, exactly. Have you noticed that we always get nuggets, right? They talk about nuggets all the time, but in mining, we only see veins.
Yeah.
Now that, as with every other nugget, it looks melted.
Yeah.
It looks like it's been melted down and just like thrown in the dirt to sort of get a random shape.
Yeah.
That's what they all look like. So
Yeah.
were they literally going in and just stealing all the gold and everything they could find and melting it down?
Yeah, or there
somehow we
was,
got nuggets.
the gold from the buildings that were destroyed was somehow melted down and
Or yeah, exactly. The
Just left
the
remains.
plasma event
Yeah.
or whatever may have
Yeah.
melted all the stuff off, and these nuggets were just around the bases of the buildings.
exactly. Because have you guys actually investigated how a gold nugget becomes like?
No,
where
but
is-
I need to have a look into that. I'm just thinking.
What's the deal there? Like opals are formed when certain things happen with rocks and water and pressure. So
What's the
where-
story with a nugget,
Yeah.
and what does nugget mean? What's the etymology? I wonder. Let's have a look at that.
All right.
But gold, right? All you need is gold, and you can get anything you want instantly. And guys, we got this awesome roof here. Looks like a cistern, and then the programming room. Seriously, it's where you go to be programmed. Okay, guys, so this is one of the little rooms that comes off. They're still underneath the Treasury Building, and you can see this is an arched roof, brick, painted, and these little rooms are all along here. I'm pretty sure this was a cistern. This was for water storage. You can see the roof up there, arched. It's been painted. It was red, right? And then down here. You can see, and then all the way along we have these little rooms that make no sense. They're holding tanks for water. Alright, like, you know, just these little rooms. Now what they tell us is this is where they stored all the gold from the gold rush. That's the story. But I think they may have been storing something else, a bit more liquidy down here.
Stonework.
So this building was erected in the year 1932, they say.
I mean,
And you can see these elevator doors.
it's so beautiful. And if you
These
go
are
down
copper.
here, this goes into the layout.
There's nice mosaics everywhere. We've got marble. Okay, and then down to lower levels. Right, so obviously, you know, we've got Melbourne motifs, so a lot of this could be replaced, but all the pillars and then the foundations, this is old. Oh, I mean, you can see the level there, and then it's straight up to another street level. All this, look at this kind of stuff, you see this everywhere.
It's good. It says high speed building, 1 floor a week.
Okay, guys, here we go.
High
So
speed
back in the
building.
1800s, they were building a floor a week.
So we're about to juxtapose all of this with a modern day construction site just so you get a vibe. Anyway, it's just gorgeous. Look at this poster behind you. It really works for
Now
the whole
this-
trade fair, the World Fair
Yeah.
vibe with the whole, like, obviously it's really lit up at the top.
And, you know, how reminiscent of like the Chrysler Building, the Empire State
Yeah.
Building is that. And why would you have this big building, but the only bit sticking up the top is just like one little corner?
Yeah.
Could that be an airport, maybe? That's where you
And
go
it goes,
to pass
it
the
literally
port.
goes, we can't get down there,
And
but it
then
goes down,
you
down,
can see
down.
the stairs down here,
And it's all
and it
marble.
just keeps going
Yeah,
down there.
yeah.
And then it goes down again, but we're not allowed down there because there's secret construction happening.
This is the official Melbourne Town Hall for the city. Obviously, every precinct in Melbourne got a town hall, crazily enough. But let me just look at the dates.
That's a Melbourne Tram. Melbourne, the only city left in Australia with trams, and of course they all had them. They built them and they ripped them all out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, tell me the sense of that, the economic sense in a brand new colony. But the other thing about Melbourne is there's a lot of bluestone. All the foundations are bluestone, or the lower levels, shall we say. And in Perth, they're all limestone and sandstone, but the thing about bluestone, it is very hard. It's notoriously hard to work with. But every brick is perfect, of course. It's perfect.
Has a massive organ inside as well.
And of
So
course,
the first town hall
water.
building, here we go. First town hall building was completed in 1854, demolished in the mid-80s. So 10 years later they demolished it and a new building was completed in 1870.
All right, guys,
So
a
they-
brand new colony. 1860, that's 12 years after Melbourne was a city. They built one, but then they knocked it over because it had so many resources, so much money. Obviously the gold rush, you know, everyone was just skilled masonry, you know, workers, architects, just everywhere. Like, so they were just building and knocking down buildings everywhere,
I
right?
know.
Why not? Got to create jobs.
I love this building so much.
All right, guys, so what's this called?
This is called the Manchester United building.
Manchester United. Now this looks, you know, just like a normal kind of building-ish, you know, pretty cool, Art Deco, but then look what is on the top.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's just so beautiful and so intricate. And so we just showed you the 1 floor a week.
1 floor a week, right? Now, why is that on the top? You know, and why is there a deck up there?
Yeah.
Of course,
And
it's
like-
got the pole, but it looks a lot like an airship pole,
Go
right?
down to that beautiful window. Look at the stonework on that window. I mean, that's beautiful. I loved the difference. Oh, hello.
Hello. How do I do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so gorgeous, and it's built in. Like, it's not like it's added on. It's built into the actual construction, and all the lower level as well, all built into the construction.
So where is it?
There it is. Yeah.
And again, nothing to do with Australia or Melbourne. There's nothing at all. It's to do with another culture, and these stampings of this other culture are everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's literally hardly any stampings of Australia or Melbourne. The only ones you can find are they've clearly been added later. They're not even good.
And Cambell, if you zoom out again, is one, and then scan over to my right, you'll see the Tartaria and the little structures, and then go up, and there's another very strange.
Oh, there's another one.
Yes.
Okay, so again, guys, now, so what it is, we look at Tartaria and we kind of think that they're only really, maybe 3, 4, 5-story buildings,
Yeah.
the big ones, or at least, height-wise. But, we see the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building,
Yeah.
that picture that John Levi shows from the 1500s with, like, towers everywhere. So I think the old world had a lot more, tall buildings than what we're told. And if you look, this one's the same. It's a big building, but just on one corner, there's a little tower.
And it's like a little
This one's the same, just in one little corner.
And look at the little cutie in the middle with the little port windows.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. It's one of my favourites. Look, there's a cute little port windows.
So cool.
And that balcony all the way up there.
And so were they literally, these were the buildings where people were catching, this was transport, right? We've got the trams in the ground, right? Airships in the air, trains,
exactly.
and
This
because
was
there's no carports, no carports in Tartaria.
And this was marvellous Melbourne after all.
Marvellous.
So why don't you keep the camera on, and I'll walk you around the other side.
Marvellous.
We'll just check out the mud flood. So this is Town Hall. Oh, skip through here. So obviously we've got a gorgeous spot there, some shower, and you'll note down there the little.
Oh yeah.
So it goes
So
down.
we have the vents. Always, the nice wrought iron that we see everywhere that does not rust.
So I wanted to keep the camera on just so we could juxtapose everyone a modern construction site. So this has been happening for the last 18 months, the whole time I've been walking around this construction site. They're putting in, I think it's part of the new railway system, but like the amount of technology and machinery required just to do this little bit in here, come for a walk.
So you can see they're actually trying to lift something up, right? And you can see the big spire in the background just sort of poking up. Look at the machinery they need to stand that up.
To use material that's so less heavy, less solid.
And it's already pre-made. They're not building it as they do it. It's like pre-made and they lift it.
Yeah.
But, all these steeples, how are they building them, guys? I mean, this is what we need today.
I mean, they need that for that size, and then behind us we've got the Manchester
And
building.
then we have this behind
and
us.
they did a floor a week.
They did a floor a week with bamboo, scaffolding and picks and axes or something, apparently.
Now look behind you and you're going to start seeing the mud flooded.
So here we go.
Here we go. One of the greatest questions of Tartaria is why would you build such a phenomenal structures on unleveled foundations? I mean, over and over again, all the way through every city in the world, we get foundations that are built unleveled. There's no reason for it. It makes no engineering sense. But look, we'll follow it around. You see these little bathrooms here, which have become bathrooms.
Yeah.
Because as we know, they weren't bathrooms. They had to input them later. We were just joking.
So it goes down. And then here the street goes up.
Now this is getting to the top end of Collins Street, which is just gorgeous. If you can across there, you're going to see one of our theatres.
And
here,
again,
Regent
there's
Theater.
another tall building with a tower on the top.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, Melbourne's ridiculous, guys.
I know, it's been a real blessing.
I'm just starting to not we had tall buildings. There were tall buildings.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Now,
like tall
two of
buildings.
my favourite buildings to come out. So we have the lovely the Regent Theater over to my right. This is very ornate and gorgeous, and it's gorgeous inside. But then a few buildings out, we have the most ornate ironwork on balconies.
Oh wow, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they have, I mean, how that's very Greco-Roman, right? Romano. And then next to it, of course, you need massive oversized pillars on every building.
Yeah.
The other thing in Melbourne is you'll see there's these roofs.
Yeah, look
Which
up
makes it
from
hard
here.
to look up.
Look around.
But when you
behind
do
you.
look up, look what you see, man. So it's like the whole city's designed to stop people looking up. Because that's where all the cool stuff is. But look at this, guys. Look at that.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Look at all the artwork. And
Yeah,
you'll see on
this
this
is the one.
building, again, they've put this big roof coming out. But look
Yeah.
at the doorway behind it.
I know. It's one of my favourites. I just think it's very beautiful. And then if you look to, well, there's another huge, this is a church behind you now.
And there is the steeple in that building. And oh my God. Like, come on.
And if you do a slow pan just onto this side of the street, you'll catch all of this up straight there. Look at the
Oh
layers
wow.
of Tartaria.
Turn, so we've got building, and then,
That's going to go upside down when we're filming.
oh, okay, I'm back there then. So we can
Yeah.
look at that thing.
That's too. Keep wearing that.
Up.
Yeah.
So
So
look
you
at
can see
that.
you got the Manchester building, then you got the town hall, then you got this row of arcades, and then you got the church and opposite. So this whole Collins Street was really, really Tartaria.
It's just ridiculous. And I really can't believe the amount of these towers coming off 10-story, 12-story buildings.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that I haven't really considered so much before is, you know, the skyscrapers, the tall buildings. There's another one, like these big, and there's no
Yeah.
need for them. They're no use. The rooms are too small to be any use.
Yeah.
And they've all got balconies
They're
on them.
very, very similar to lighthouses, aren't they?
They're
I mean, they
very.
just look like lighthouses, and they have the port windows, and
Yeah.
you can imagine they were lit up, and they were literal lighthouses.
Yeah, and they've
Alright.
all been closed in. They've all had the doorways and windows have all been closed in with glass or brick, so they're not accessible to the
All
outside, right?
So team, wait on me. Team, are you ready? Because I'm about to show you the church that Jenny for the live event. I'm about to show you the venue we didn't end up in. All right, you ready?
Oh,
All right,
here's
follow
Scott's
me.
church. Let's go for it.
St. Campbell, it's interesting. Across the road we've got the Hyatt, modern building, right? And still we're
You can
mudflood.
see that the level. Now this one, I mean, you can see they may have dug it into the hill a bit because actually you have to drive down, but it's still, yeah, it's not.
Why
So,
don't
you
they
know-
level? Do they not level new construction because there's shit underneath?
Yeah, okay. Are they building on top of other foundations, maybe? Or is that just somehow an old building that's been completely refacaded? We just don't know.
Okay, so this is the front of the venue that we were going to end up in, the Assembly Hall. I mean, you can still look how gorgeous it is. That's why I was so excited when we got it, but I've been way more. You can't do that. You have to just you have to keep it on one or the other. Or you're gonna have to edit and flip them.
Okay, I'll just cut it.
All right, so this is the Assembly Hall, the original venue where we were going to do the live on the weekend. So you can see why this is Harry Potter land.
And of course, it's next door, by the way.
another one.
Hello.
So two
Look
cathedrals.
at that.
Look at this.
But this is where we were going to be. I mean, look at.
And look at the Camelot. I mean, this is very reminiscent of RMIT, which we looked at on Sunday, which we'll have to do today. So just quite extraordinary.
Of course, doors going underneath, stairs going up.
I mean, and then juxtaposed with the West Back Bank.
And we've got this, and then in the background, the big square box. So again, look at the information encoded in that square box
Yeah.
compared to this.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just no comparison.
there's no comparison.
Like these-
One's tyrant.
Yeah.
Like, and one is intricate and engineered, and it's doing something. It's living. It's technologically advanced. It's breathing.
One is the education system, the other is autodidactic.
Yeah.
Always about the waters, guys, always about the waters. Of course, next to the big, what we call cathedrals, cathodes, always the water. Alright, so this is Scott's Church. Nice stained glass windows. Up here you can see it turns to brick. It's almost like they've taken the facading off or something. We come around and then of course we have this big disgusting black box in the background trying to take over the old world. And look at this stuff. I mean, the information encoded in this building is ridiculous, right? And this is what they're doing. They're taking away the information, so we're not getting the information we need. That's why most people can't see, because they're lacking the information that is encoded into the old realm. Right guys, so there you go. One window.
Ready? Up we go.
Two.
Up.
Oh, and getting bigger and bigger as we go down. Oh, no mud flood here.
Alright, so this is interesting.
Oh my God, guys,
Oh,
look
this
at
one's so
this.
curious, yeah.
No, we're not in Morocco. This is Melbourne. This is called the Forum, and I mean completely mud flooded.
And it has such an interesting story about the organ. Apparently when it was first opened, they actually imported, in inverted commas, the biggest organ in the southern hemisphere.
Wow.
And it like took equivalent to something like 16-ton trucks to get it here from the tall ship and put it in, which is obviously a ridiculous story. So if we walk around, you're going to see the intricacy here. So take this building, imagine that this could have been similar to some of the real facades, adorn it with gold and jewels and stained glass and like light it up. You can imagine how stunning this would have been in its original form.
Just amazing, very Moorish looking, and again we get these these griffin dragon things, which
Everywhere.
are pretty much exactly what we just looked at on the theatre. Right? And of course we've got some lion heads up there.
It's so Moroccan Persian-y vibe,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like
very,
Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin, like, yeah. You know, we've got these pillars, these twisty pillars on the outside, so you know, what does all this mean, right? This is, I mean, look at that.
But again, the level of
is that?
information,
Exactly.
in this architecture.
The information encoded is ridiculous. And again, we have this tower, and it has a platform around it, guys. Why? Airship docking? What do you reckon? But I mean, this place is just...
I mean, the metalwork in the
in the
facades,
windows
yeah.
there, like that. Then we see that this intricate metalwork. How are they doing that?
And look how they're just letting it rot. Look
And
here, and it's just decaying. I think
this
they're
is-
probably getting ready to give it a
Yeah.
reason to tear it down.
This is what they do. They let them go to crap, and then that gives them an excuse to either say, oh, well, now it's not safe, we'll knock it over, or to just completely re-facade it. Just rip everything off and make it into a different building to look at.
Yeah.
And this is how they do it, right? And this is why they introduce things like fashion, right? Things have got to change and be upgraded every year, don't they? The cars, you know, the TV, you've always got to have the new stuff. Got to destroy the old.
Unfortunately, it's arrived by Kmart now, and it's so bad. I can't bear it.
It's just cheap, you know, cheap.
Any fashion designers out there, I want to work with you. Come and find me.
Yes, Kelly needs a fashion designer. Anyone into Keltarian fashion, please contact us.
We've got to get the fashion up to raise with this new level of the game.
We
We're going to
do.
get the whole style and vibe of our whole appearance up.
Yeah,
in
'cause-
2 years' time, our live events are going to be extraordinarily beautiful to look at, because we're going to be wearing extraordinarily beautiful clothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the buildings, right? The clothes we wear now have no information encoded in them.
That's right, and they're all poisonous materials.
And they're all poisonous materials, so we want richly, you know, made naturally, natural fibre
So look,
clothes
look.
with a lot of information in code. I mean, look at this. Now, this was the inside, guys. This is just a photo on the door now.
It must be the inside, exactly.
But look at this.
Extraordinary, right?
This looks like a World's Fair building.
It does, exactly.
It really does.
And then we've got, of course, flanking it to my left is Flinders Street Station down there. But
And of course, yes.
this whole strip, so we're going to have to cross the road to show you the whole building in its glory. But this whole strip goes through past the cathedral, past this Camelot reconstruction, and we'll get to Flinders Street.
And you have all this, and then they juxtapose it with this, right?
Yeah.
Just squares and
Awkward
and
square.
it's not geometric. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's not good to look at.
Yeah.
It's geometrically messy. That is geometrically perfect.
Yes. There's a real contrast in that. I mean, you can't make this up.
So this is the outside of this building, guys, and this is it's just ridiculous.
Marvellous Melbourne.
I'm waiting for the magic carpet to fly in.
You can really imagine when they found it, they went, this is marvellous.
Marvellous Melbourne.
Marvellous.
Look at all these marvellous buildings we get for free.
How can we justify its marvellousness? We'll have to bring in Gold Rush, or was that an excuse to go and find the buildings to dig up? Who knows?
Exactly. And then look, these dragon griffin things, they're dragon griffins.
Yeah.
They're everywhere in Melbourne.
And so we've got a new working theory that dragons actually emanated from the oceans, came up from the oceans. They were water dragons.
Water dragons.
And the seahorse.
The seahorse.
Yes.
Of course, the seahorse.
Mhm.
And in the old Aquaman cartoons, Aquaman used to ride a seahorse and it could shoot out these sonic beams, remember?
That's right. And of course, if source is water, and source is water in all its potential forms, then it makes total sense that things could emanate from up through the ocean onto land. And these superheroes we hear of, and these, higher consciousness beings, they just have a stronger ability to intend the water they want to use. So when we talk about levitation or superpowers or flying or all those things, like if their density is clear enough to intend the water into a different form, then they could easily manipulate it to use it as an anti-gravitational.
Exactly, and we've all seen it through Dr. Emoto's work, changing, the structure of water, the intention, and we've talked a lot about water being information, right? Yeah. And so you just get, the more information is in the water, then the more you can get out of it. Maybe the more abilities you get out of it, the more you can use it.
The clearer our minds, the clearer our ability to intend, the clearer we create reality, literally using source, water, source, to change into any form.
Exactly. So that's pretty much why they like to put the old fluoride in. Right? They're messing up the information that we're getting into our system.
And if you remember, fluoride was before GMOs, it was before all of the disclosure stuff. They put fluoride in the water very early on, that was the first thing they did. Related the structure of the water we were drinking and showering in and growing food in.
Indeed. Stop the information and you stop the people growing.
Okay, so we're at the cathedral that we ended our tour in on Sunday. And we're just in between the cathedral, which is so old world. Like we'll walk up here to under this alleyway, and then it's flanked by this beautiful Camelot style building, which from a distance is just such an amazing
doors.
castle. Yeah.
We've got the Cathedral Windows up there. I'll get another view for you better over there. But this cathedral, man, look at this. Massive spire.
You think once they'd built one, they would have settled on that being the one?
Yeah.
But instead, they built dozens of them.
And,
why?
And this is the thing. This is why there's so many different sects of sectists, I said, of Christianity, right? Because they had to justify all these different churches, what we told are churches. But look at this. What is that crack in the wall? What is? See that funny? Can you see that? Like that? How they've that funny wall thing there?
Yeah.
It was freaking me out the other day. But look at that. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Added on or something. And then you've got this swinging buttress sort of thing hanging out the top there.
Yeah.
So, they've done it something, they've been, it's refacading, right?
But that tower is very reminiscent of the last one we saw.
That tower, and of course, again, right, there's a balcony up there. Why is there a balcony? What's it for? It's looking very airshippy to me.
And then do a pan around, and you can see the building that's in it, like behind Cambell right now.
So we got the tower, this, and then this. Now this is just, we're told is a building, right? It's not a cathedral, but look at the features, look at the windows.
You go up to this corner.
And then up there, right? That's Rapunzel's tower.
So strangely enough,
It's the same features as a cathedral, but that ain't a cathedral. But this is same windows, guys. Same windows.
yeah,
All
exactly
right.
the same.
Can you see that? And of course, big tower. Big tower. It's all the same, guys. They try and designate all these buildings and say they're all different. But they're not. They're all the same.
And it's interesting because if you come in as a tourist in Melbourne, they will focus your attention on ACME, which is Federation Square, this mess in front of us. But they won't talk about what's here. So
And-
they really do bring people's attention to what they've recently built,
And
basically.
again, look at that shot, guys. Look at the information in the foreground compared to the information in that black cube, right?
Crazy.
You all know the squares, the cubes,
Yeah.
the black. And this is what they're doing. They're trying to change or erase all this information.
And if we walk up behind here through this, there's an original little alleyway that would have been here originally, and we can intercut, and you'll see these are the original stones because they're so weathered, and the original iron, steel, whatever. What do we call that material?
Wrought iron.
Wrought iron, maybe. And it's so smooth and so gorgeous.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh, look at this, guys. It keeps going up.
And you can see these stones. Look how weathered they are from foot
Oh,
traffic.
look at that. They're worn
Yeah.
away, literally. I'm not sure if you can see that, guys. I'll get down here. Can you see that they've been worn up the side and then up the side there? Literally worn away from use. And of course, going underground, right? And we've got to walk up to the next level.
Like in Melbourne? Are we in Europe?
Exactly
Are we
right.
in England?
Where are we?
It's pretty
This could
phenomenal.
literally be Venice, guys. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And again, these are just all cathedral buildings, but they tell us that they're not, right? Now it's a shopping arcade.
Look at that shot. Like, what is this shot here?
Look at that. And interestingly enough, that light is not actually flashing. No, I can't see it flashing, but in the picture it's flashing. Interesting.
And then we go through here, and it's got the original stonework, and it leads up
Ridiculous. Windows.
Yeah.
And again, this massive wrought iron gates.
Yeah.
Look at them. And the size of the doorway. This is 30 foot easy. And of course, we pop out, and what do we get? We got windows there, and
Yeah,
it just
back
goes
down.
down the hill.
And if we go around the corner, this will flank us with the church.
So here we go. This we're now at the back side of this building. Now this, what we're looking at, is not designated as a church anymore, but of course that next to it is. Now these are the same buildings, guys. Right? It's exactly the same, but they try and say no, one's a church or a cathedral, and another one's a government building, right?
And so much mudflood. And it really does dictate the culture. So if you donate all of these gorgeous buildings to cultural institutes like churches, government buildings, again, anything like that, saying that's where all the wealth, intellect, knowledge, that's where all the wealth is. And you basically set up a culture to view and have a perspective in a certain way.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas in actual fact, any one of us could have had one of these buildings, like, because
Indeed.
they didn't build them, they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have the wealth, they were
Yep.
as part of the agenda.
Indeed.
So don't believe any of these bullshit stories that there's this amazingly intelligent, sophisticated family lines that have achieved and accomplished great feats of all these things, because it's bullshit.
It's bullshit, and they take it. So yeah, like Kelly said, so we subconsciously think they own the information, right?
And we're shit.
And,
What's wrong
we
with
live in
us?
bark huts, right,
Yeah.
made out of trees, and we can't even attempt this. But they've somehow got this power and knowledge and
Yeah.
all the resources
Yeah.
to build. I mean, it's crap,
It
guys.
sets
built.
up such a division.
It is, and it's just the division is they're thieves.
Yeah.
That's the division, and we're not. And they've robbed us of our past.
All right, let's go have a look around the corner. We're just on Flinders Lane, walking down the street. Go right up, like the ironwork is so gorgeous, and right at the top of these buildings are just like these weird little dragons with shields, basically. And then obviously you can see right down the street, these are all just stunningly gorgeous, boom, 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 massive buildings.
All Tartarian.
Yeah.
And this is the thing in Melbourne, and you know, obviously I'm from Perth, everything's taller and bigger in Melbourne. Like all these buildings are just a lot taller, and then even to the point where some of them are, you know, 15-story high-rise buildings.
I know, it's like they were building a city for like 10 million people.
Exactly. This was 10 million big people, not us.
Basically.
But, and definitely the dragon theme is so alive here in Melbourne, and the lion and chained unicorn is everywhere. But of course they try and change that to the kangaroo and emu.
This is the side of Flinders Street Station. I'll show you the scale of it. Obviously this they have construction photos of this, but it's all just at the level of the domes.
You can see there's some copper domes up there.
Yeah.
But then we'll go have a look, but that's the main entrance up there with the big dome.
And this used to connect straight, if we go straight down the road, that was where the famous Melbourne fish markets were. That they tore down and replaced with a car park.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
very.
And you can see the remnants of that doorway there. Look at the size of that, and you can see it's
so mud flooded. And
too big.
you know, when you look at these buildings, you think like, if the town planning was so exquisite and so accurate and so miraculous, then why would they continue to demolish them and like leave vacant spaces? You know, like the town planning, if we're to believe the narrative, was just so far advanced what we have today. So they wouldn't just be putting them up and go, oh no, whoops, we got to change that one, let's get rid of that one. So yeah, this was built really early on, as well as all of them are, all the same time period. But let's go have a look at the front.
Alright, so this is Flinders Street Station, the main gate. That's a much better shot there of the dome, which Kelly was just telling us there's a ballroom in there.
Well, that's what they use it for.
That's what they use it for.
And actually the only construction photos we have is really the dome, the area where the domes were being fucked with. But I have to say, like, one of our first artworks that we did for Tartaria Australia, and will be available as an underground city poster, which we haven't released yet.
So,
I've been working on these.
All that artwork will be available soon. We're working on it. But look at the size of this building. It's literally the whole block. Big tower down the end. You can see in that shot there, we've got 4 domes and a tower. And like Kelly said, this is connected to underground train tracks that all had to be constructed, the whole thing out to their terminals, and built, designed, which would have been a massive effort, all before they would even think about starting construction on this.
Exactly. And if you go straight behind you, this building has got an 1875 date on it. Very small little doorways, all mud flooded, but gorgeous still.
Very cool.
All right. During Town, this was all torn down, and it was a very strong Tartarian building complex. And you can see, I don't know if Cambell can get it, but like a metal pillars, columns, there it is. That literally, they're the original ones. And we can't see it, but it literally probably going to have 10 stories right now. It just goes down and down and down.
You can see how far down. It's like easy 4 stories down from the street level, and this has all been done during lockdown, guys. They've knocked down the buildings on top, and they expect us to believe they then dug this hole and did all the formwork. But I think we all know they probably found, right, or knew that these levels were there, and they're just uncovering them. Because look at that metal pillar. Right. So there you go. Reconstructing a new smart city from the past.
This is another gorgeous set of buildings across here and across the road as well. Real little cuties, these real narrow little ones with beautiful banisters. I don't know if you can see from here. Alright, we're crossing. want to show you that one's pretty cool. This is the entrance to one of Melbourne's famous arcades. Now, they had so many gorgeous arcades, a lot of them been removed and destroyed, but some remain. And one thing you'll notice is the gorgeous ornateness of the interior and the mosaic floors. Just beautiful. But if you imagine Melbourne had so many arcades. Come for a walk.
Of course. Light posts everywhere, these amazing old metal light street lights.
I mean, the mosaics in here are just stunning, and the style of it. Look at the ornate little, this is the tea house, beautiful, ornate. You'll get a sense of the culture and the class of this.
Class, they had class.
Look at that. And if you walk with me, every shop is just beautiful.
Of course, the whole floor is just mosaics. You can see these cool little shops.
Giant doors, giant beautiful framing.
Pillars, nice woodwork. They just don't finish buildings like this anymore. And look at this. This looks suspiciously like there may have been a dome here at one point. Look at that. Like it looks like that's a newer dome, but it's probably just been rebuilt from where the old dome was, right? Big light bulbs, and of course, as under every single dome, always a circle underneath, right? So we stand on this, and we're in the power.
The clocks.
Oh, look. Blowing the horns.
You can see how extensive these arcades were. So they're flat. And so we just come in from your left.
So
Every point is...
everything is just, everything's finished.
Keep following me.
It's just all art, it's all information. All the wrought iron.
Oh, there's some photos that we've got one of the alleyways.
Okay, so we've got an alleyway here, and another one there. Oh, nice heat. Where's that from? Wow.
And so these little alleyways in Melbourne are everywhere. Again, they're really beautiful, ornate. You feel like you could be in any culture in the world.
Yeah, they're so cool. And if you're in Melbourne, that's where the food is.
Yeah.
So if you're really hungry like me and you're walking around the streets, go down an alley, because I didn't work that out.
We have no time to stop for food.
And again,
So you can see here they haven't been touched basically. But all originally red brick.
Look at it. And you can see, look at these windows.
Yeah.
They've been retrofitted. You can see the big archways that have been filled in, the columns. They've painted it and then just let it go to crap.
And if we walk around the corner to get one of this one, it's amazing.
And again, this is how they get rid of the old world, right? With their building codes and all this stuff. And so they let them, deteriorate, and then they say that they're no longer safe. They don't meet the building standards, and so we have to knock them over for everyone's safety.
So we're
Right?
going to have to cross the road to get this one.
So they want us to believe they're destroying our history and culture for our benefit. Alright guys, so I'm on the other side of the road here now, and you can see, come on, it's just all Tartaria, right? And of course Tartaria just means old world, but we're talking about Tartarian consciousness again. Look at the information encoded in this building. Now, can you see that? Bit of Antiquitech up on the top there. I'll see if I can zoom in for you. So this is just sitting up there on the top of this building. in Melbourne, and we know that these are old antennas. And of course here we get these buildings, old Tartarian again. Now on this one up the top,
Yon. All the little shops, they start to get smaller.
you can see the
And
doorways
smaller.
get shorter and
The
shorter.
smallest Easy Mart in the
Shorter,
world.
so you can hardly even fit in them.
And like come up here because down here is this gorgeous little hat shop. It's been here forever. But look, you can see.
There we go, guys. That was the original level down there
And look, it
somewhere.
goes down and down.
Oh, and look,
down.
yep, there's a cracked cover there, so it's still going. So literally, the doorways get to a point where they're so short that they have to go underground, right? Mud flood. And so here we come, and there's a nice little stairway down to the hat shop.
We should have got you a hat.
We should have got me a hat. Oh, look at those orange ones. Whee! I could be a pimp. Fucking hell. Turned it off. Sorry, there we go, guys. I don't know what I've got. Here we go. Flinders Street Market.
Yeah, I know. So I was just saying to Campbell that up the top there, there's a what is used as a ballroom. It's been shut for decades. No one can get up there. And then during lockdown, they opened it up for one artist to come in, and she was that grotesque artist that mixes monsters with humans and does these like monster human sculptures. But that's the only time it's been open up for ages and ages. So if we cross over, we'll be able to get a great long shot of the station. It's totally mud flooded, completely built down and out, and so underground.
And right on the Yarra River. And of course, the word human means monster.
Which I didn't even know. That's funny.
Right.
So, like, I want you to bear in mind that this is a station with substations. If we're to believe the narrative, they built this station, and then, but at the same, or before this, they built all the substations, all the different exits and entrance point underground, all the different railway lines before they built all the buildings on top. Because
Exactly.
you can't build them last.
No.
They have to be built
Has
first.
to be done first. So the timeline doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we'll go and get a bigger shot for you.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is Flinders Street Station, the main gate. That's a much better shot there of the dome, which Kelly was just telling us is there's a ballroom in there.
Well, that's what they use it for.
That's what they use it for.
And actually, the only construction photos we have is really the dome, the area where the domes were being fucked with. But I have to say, like, one of our first artworks that we did for Tartaria Australia and will be available as an underground city poster, which we haven't released yet.
Yay. So
I've
yeah,
been working on these.
all that artwork will be available soon. We're working on it. But look at the size of this building. It's literally the whole block. Big tower down the end. You can see in that shot there, we've got 4 domes and a tower. And like Kelly said, this is connected to underground train tracks that all had to be constructed, the whole thing out to their terminals, the whole and built, designed, which would have been a massive effort, all before they would even think about starting construction on this.
Exactly. And if you go straight behind you, this building has got an 1875 date on it. Very small little doorways, all mud flooded, but gorgeous still.
Very cool.
All right. During Kingstown, this was all torn down, and it was a very strong Tartarian building complex. And you can see, I don't know if Campbell can get it, but like a metal pillars, columns, there it is. That literally, they're the original ones. And we can't see it, but it literally probably goes up 10 stories right now. It just goes down and down and down.
You can see how far down. It's like easy 4 stories down from the street level, and this has all been done during lockdown, guys. They've knocked down the buildings on top, and they expect us to believe they then dug this hole and did all the formwork. But I think we all know they probably found, right, or knew that these levels were there, and they're just uncovering them. Because look at that metal pillar.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
So there you go, reconstructing a new smart city from the past.
This is another gorgeous set of buildings across here and across the road as well. Real little cuties, these real narrow little ones with beautiful banisters. I don't know if you can see from here. Alright, we're crossing. I'm going to show you that one too.
Of course, the floor is all completely mosaicked. And then we get this. And everything's so symmetrical, right? In the old world, these massive lights, the ceiling. I mean, it's just crazy.
This is the entrance to one of Melbourne's famous arcades. Now, they had so many gorgeous arcades. Of course, a lot of them have been removed and destroyed, but some remain. And one thing you'll notice is the gorgeous ornateness of the interior and the mosaic floors. Just beautiful. But if you imagine Melbourne had so many arcades. Come for a walk.
Of course, light posts everywhere. These amazing old metal light street lights.
Mosaics in here are just stunning, and the style of it. Look at the ornate the tea house, beautiful, ornate. You'll get a sense of the culture and the class of this.
Class, they had class.
Look at that. And if you walk with me, every shop is just beautiful.
Of course, the whole floor is just mosaics. Look at these cool little shops.
Giant doors, giant beautiful framing.
Pillars, nice woodwork. They just don't finish buildings like this anymore. And look at this. This looks suspiciously like there may have been a dome here at one point. Look at that. Like it looks like that, that's a newer dome, but it's probably just been rebuilt from where the old dome was, right? Big light bulbs. And of course, as under every single dome, always a circle underneath, right? So we stand on this and we're in the power.
That's cute. The clocks.
Oh, look. Blowing the
You can
horns.
see how extensive these arcades were. So they're flat. And so we just come in from your left.
So,
Every point is...
and everything is just, everything's finished.
Keep following me.
It's just all art, it's all information. All the wrought iron.
Oh, there's some photos that opens up one alleyway.
Okay, so we've got an alleyway here and another one there. Oh, nice heat. Where's that from? Wow.
And so these little alleyways in Melbourne are everywhere. Again, they're really beautiful, ornate. You feel like you could be in any culture in the world.
Yeah, they're so cool. And if you're in Melbourne, that's where the food is.
Yeah.
So if you're really hungry like me and you're walking around the streets, go down an alley, because I didn't work that out.
We have no time to stop for food. So you can see here they haven't been touched basically. But all originally red brick.
Look at it. And you can see, look at these windows.
Yeah.
They've been retrofitted. You can see the big archways that have been filled in, the columns. They've painted it and then just let it go to crap.
And if we walk around the corner to get one of this one, it's amazing.
And again, this is how they get rid of the old world, right? With their building codes and all this stuff. And so they let them, deteriorate, and then they say that they're no longer safe. They don't meet the building standards, and so we have to knock them over for everyone's safety.
Right. So we're going to have to cross the road to get this one in
So they want us to believe they're destroying our history and culture for our benefit. All right, guys, so I'm on the other side of the road here now, and you can see, I mean, come on, it's just all Tartaria, right? And of course, Tartaria just means old world, but we're talking about Tartarian consciousness again. Look at the information encoded in this building now. Can you see that? Bit of Antiquitech up on the top there. I'll see if I can zoom in for you. So this is just sitting up there on the top of this building in Melbourne, and we know that these are old antennas. Of course, here we get these buildings, old Tartarian again. Now on this one up the top, up here in our half dome we have Gog and Magog, who of course are giants from England, when England was called,
What about the room next inhabitant?
I think when England was called Avalon. I might have to check that. But yeah, two giants, Gog and Magog, and of course the Bushes, right? Senior and Junior. They're like they're you know, society names are Gog and Magog. All right, so you'll see right here they are Gog and Magog. And here we go. Ring the bell for me, Gog. Come on, ring it. Bring it. And of course, you know, again, very Phoenician, right? Very old school. Nothing at all to do with the new colony of Australia or Melbourne. Alright, so here's some cool buildings. And you'll see up here, we've got some lions. I ain't lying. See if I can get in a bit for you. Lion. And there's these kind of motifs are all over Melbourne. So the woolly dooly, guys.
How beautiful is this building? This is 333 Collins Street. Huge dome on top.
Massive dome up there. And the whole thing. So you can see the dome on the top. There's another dome there. So this is the building we're in. So at the moment I think we're under that dome there, which is there. Look at that. I mean, this is straight out of the Vatican, right? I mean, look at this. Look at the gold. I mean, again, the information, right, encoded. Now all of these upways. Look at them. What? Why? All got a balcony. What is going on here? And this that gold shape, that is everywhere all over Melbourne. We see it everywhere. It's everywhere, that flowery pattern, whatever it is. But I mean, just look at the geometry here, guys. And what do we build today? Boxes. So just insane, guys, insane. Okay, so here we are inside a shopping centre, and they've got an old Tartarian building inside that they've just built around, and this has, of course, a tower on the top under a massive dome. Now you'll see up the top there, I'm not sure if you can read it, but it says lead pipe and shot factory. So what they're trying to say is that these towers were all built because they were making shot. So basically you heat metal up till it's molten, and then you drop it 7 stories, and in that 7 stories it turns into a sphere and hardens. So at the bottom you get shot, like they used to use in the old guns, right? And that's their story for why we've got these towers everywhere. Of course, it has to do with war, right? And what do they put next to it but the octopus? And you can kind of see there, it's got one big eye. Big-eyed octopus hanging from the roof right next to the tartar, and looking like it's about to try and eat it. Let's go back a bit so you can see there. And then there's the old building. So it's quite a big tower, 7 stories tall.
How's this one?
It's cool.
That's good, hey?
Very good.
Yeah. So they built this whole arcade around it. Obviously chucked a big fat dome on top of it, or pyramidic structure.
Yeah. And it's interesting because they say it's for shot, but what are all the windows there?
Yeah.
If that's just a tube to drop molten metal down, why are there windows in it? They serve no purpose. They would make the structure weaker and harder to build and more expensive. Doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, and obviously, it's pretty friggin' high.
It's very tall.
Pretty tall. Like, this goes down another 3 floors.
Well, I was just thinking, imagine the foundations that this building needs to hold that tower up.
Yep.
You don't just whack that on a roof. That tower is the structure, and this building is being built around it, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So
I'm just looking at the quick history of this while we're waiting for our lunch. So 1889 is the date they've put on this tower.
1889.
Look, I'll show you in this picture, Campbell. So there's the library. Can you see? That's the National Library that's in. And then here is this tower.
Ah.
And so this whole structure's been built around this tower. Yep, and look at behind it.
It's completely built out.
All red brick, that whole section. Yep.
So and the thing is, built 1880. Why did we need all these shot towers in Melbourne in the 1880 war with anyone? We were a new colony. Wouldn't that metal have been, better used in construction and fencing to keep animals in, right? Or animals out so we could make food? But no, we need 7-story towers all over the place to make bullets, apparently. Right?
Yeah, no, that makes no sense.
Just doesn't make sense. So there you go. Tower under a dome, next to an octopus, in a shopping centre. Why not?
So I was just finding some photos, and this is the construction around that tower before the shopping centre was built around it. So you can see the scale. I mean, look at those columns. Like, what is that?
And I mean, that has to have been there before, right? You cannot build underneath a building.
Okay, yeah. So this level here, where it's the red bricks are, that's street level.
And so everything under that is part of the structure. Like I said, I mean, they
Yeah,
can't.
look at that. It's
well,
right down there.
They can't say that they dug under that building and built those massive, you know, 4-story foundations and it's suddenly sitting on them. That's
No.
not how you do it. You start from the bottom and build up.
It's epic.
So that's what's under the ground, like another, what, 4 or 5 stories.
Wow.
Madness. Okay, so these are some pictures inside this dome. This is a picture of the dome, but look at this, guys.
The illusion.
What's that? They say this was built like over 100 years ago.
Flinders Street.
Flinders Street Station. Okay, what's this? Where did the crane come from? Okay, this was supposed to be built before they existed. All right, they tell us, right? They tell us. Here again, look at this. What's going on here? All right, they're trying to tell us there's something underground. They've got bobcats and cranes. Right? None of this stuff was built then. Just silly.
You on?
Yep.
All right, okay, guys. This is my all-time favourite one of here in Melbourne. It's like the most intricate. This is still Collins Street. We've just finished that big, beautiful building behind us, and we're about to go to this extraordinary. This is Europe. This is every continent blended into one building. So let's go have a look at this amazing. It's the ANZ Bank on Collins Street.
Oh my gosh, yes, guys, it's a bank. And whatever you do, do not think that the thing on top of this might be an airship station. They're all over Melbourne. But of course, built by the colonials with, you know, dirt roads, horse and buggy, no electric power tools. And in Australia, right? Far, far from Europe, but we seem to have a European building here and everywhere else. I mean, look at this. Let's get in for a closer look.
We should be able to go in.
Alright guys, so here we go, right? Doorways, massive. And this is a cathedral, right? And this is the thing we talk about, like, how did this get designated a bank and not a cathedral? Because it has the same features, which tell us that everything was free energy. And I will show you what's up the top. Can you see that? That's right, that's ridiculous, right? Antiquitech all over it. And looking suspiciously again, like an airship dock. Why have they all got verandas so you can get out to these verandas at the top of the buildings? Right, all the entrances seem to be blocked up. This one not so much, but look at the Antiquitech on the top of this building. Just ridiculous.
It's like flanked. If we walk onto the corner, you'll get the whole effect.
Just bring it out a bit there, bring it.
I just love it's flanked by these huge black boxes.
That's what's all around it, right?
You can really see the melding of this old realm with the new hijacked one.
Indeed. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's got, again, it's one of those buildings with every feature in it, right?
I mean, faces, dragons, golems,
porticos,
bulls,
archways, onion domes,
buildings,
stars,
like balconies,
Antiquitech,
facades,
domes.
yeah, towers, flowers. Oh my God.
It's got it all. These funny little balconies we see everywhere that make no sense. Everywhere. It's just, but it's a bank, guys. It's just a bank.
And look around, you
for
can
the
see
money.
that it's the whole corner, every one of these buildings.
Oh wow, yeah, all up there.
Yeah.
And of course, in, just to let you know you're in Melbourne, we have dragons. Right, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They are everywhere.
Let's go see if we can get inside.
Yeah, let's go have a look inside. Okay guys, so you can see windows there. Stairs going up, and of course, windows get bigger as they go down the street, right? Okay, this is inside the bank, guys. Check out this.
This is beautiful.
Okay, this is
Beautiful.
this is a bank. Look at this roof. What is going on here? Seriously. And not to mention these roofs are like, these are 40-foot roofs easy. You know, you can see definitely they've changed the logos here, right? The branding. But these arches, it's so reminiscent of cathedrals. They got that, you know, that Vesica Pisces kind of look to them. On columns, all ornate, all gold. Look at this. This is the entranceway. It's a complete carved wooden box. And also it's about 20 foot tall. And these are cathedral windows. These are what we call cathedral windows. But we're in a bank. We're in a bank, apparently. So there you go. And that, of course, is a dome. Why not?
This is what flanks it, that beautiful bank we've just been in. And you can really see the mud flooded windows going down here.
So these big cars, but you can see you can see the level, and it goes straight down the hill. So it's the same thing where the windows get bigger as you go down. Let's get out a bit. And we've got more there, then we've got more here. I mean, it's just ridiculous, guys. And of course, building we were just in, this is that bank that we were in. You can see, window there. And then as we go around the corner, they get bigger and bigger as we go down. All mud flooded. And I mean, oh my God. And that building, that's what we're told cathedrals are. That's the same features. And then we get this. Look how intricate that is.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh my God. Okay, so across the road here we have the Melbourne Safe Deposit Building. And look at this. Pretty ridiculous.
Isn't it gorgeous? The
Look
same
at
intricacy, right?
that. Same, and even up the top there on that portico, we get those little knob things that we see all over the cathedral steeples. And you might see the cast iron up the top there, which we see the railings around a lot of buildings. But look at the columns in this thing.
I mean, isn't it ridiculous that this is like flanked with city buildings right here in the middle of Melbourne? Like, you guys didn't even realise this
we got
was
this,
here.
and then look what's behind it. Black boxes. But look at this. And another thing that the beautiful Victorian government did is we have this amazing old building here. Right, we've got all the features, old world, Treasury on Collins. And what do? They put bars with spikes all the way down so no one can sit on the edge of the building or homeless people can sleep on it.
Look at the windows.
This is how they treat us. Look at this. Look at this.
Look at these windows. Don't they look like the Forum? That same style of the Forum.
They do, yep. The Forum was at the Moorish building. We saw that ridiculous one. Look at the side of that. It looks exactly the same. Very Moorish. I mean, look at, that's just... Okay, we'll see if we can get in on that for you, just to show you how ridiculous it is. Look at this.
Very Moroccan.
What is
That
going on
Moroccan
with
energy
that?
going in.
Look at that. Then we've got our portals, balconies. Up the top we've got, you know, the Moorish onion windows. And of course, got to have a spire. If you don't have a spire, how do you leave the city on an airship, right? Oh wow, okay, so let's see where
From the same building, different perspective, just go up. There it is.
Look at that. And again, why have they all got access to the outside? They're not big enough to be used as rooms, but they've all got access to the outside. I mean, seriously, I don't, you know, the whole airship thing, might have to recharge. I'm almost convinced that these are all airports for airships now. Oh, seriously. Alright guys, and just because Melbourne wasn't quite ridiculous enough for you all, have a look at this. And what do we have up on top but a Hello. I mean, seriously, guys, look at this. What the? Alright, and then, are you ready for this? Okay, let's do a scan, let's do this, and we'll go, whoa. Look at that. What's going on here? Alright, and of course, got another steeple just behind there. Can you see it? The hat there with the ball on the top. And another one there. This place is just, look at that. Look at that. Guys. Oh my God. Amazing. And of course, always got the black cubes behind them with no information encoded in them at all. But look what we got in the front. It's all there for us to find. Here's a bit of a better shot. See if I can get in for you. And look at the size of the door. That's mad. And again, that steeple, man, how cool is that? Look at it. And of course these domes looking very suspiciously like wizard hats or witches hats, right? We've got our ball and the antiquitech at the top. And then across the road, there's another one. Why not? Why not? Why not indeed? All built with hand tools, horse and cart, and no experience. So this is the Melbourne Library. There's the dome. This thing is massive. And of course we've got all the steps going up to it. So it's pretty cool.
Carbonate what? Petition. Sign this. Yeah, no way. All right, so
Here we are.
National Library, built 20 years after Melbourne's foundation was founded, and you can see the scale of it. So up until this moment, I haven't been able to go inside. So we're going to go inside now. But we love this light fitting here. Very Egyptian-looking lighting.
He didn't even know how this works though.
And of course we've got the slaying the dragon up there in the sculpture. And Campbell showed you the buried pillar, the metaphor for the fall of marvellous Melbourne.
The mud flood. And apparently that's St. George, and that's supposed to be Joan of Arc apparently over there.
So just look at the scale. I mean, if you're a beginning nation or a beginning city just as Melbourne, and you're working here and you make some decisions as a town planner, like a national library, straight off the bat.
Straight off the bat. And this is what you build, and of course...
Did they even have books, that many books back then?
Exactly.
Available?
How many books are in Australia? And of course, guys, a couple of checkerboards out the front.
How many books were in Australia 20 years after Melbourne was founded?
Indeed.
That's the question.
And look at that bit there. Why have they closed in all the windows?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
And so this goes so far down, and there's a huge dome on top.
And of course, guys, there's water everywhere. We have shells.
Yeah.
Shells. Now we see this iconography everywhere, and of course, unfortunately, the council are putting sticks everywhere to stop the birds
I
landing.
know, it looks so violent.
So
doesn't
it's this juxtaposition, isn't it, of like, you know, sort of letting some of the old world there, but they just, nothing else is allowed, right?
So we should be able to look at the dome. Gosh, I haven't been in here since university days.
Wow.
I used to come in here when I was doing uni. I thought it was the most amazing part of being a student was coming to this library. I think if we go into the middle.
Let's get this.
Oh no, maybe
What?
not. I have to remember.
Look at this, guys. Nice windows, stained glass inside. Very cool. And I mean, look at this.
So I might
Right.
have to stand up and go either upstairs or through.
So this is old world, but this has obviously all been, you know, resurfaced, refacaded. There'd be columns under here. You can still see, you know, like we've still got the 6-pointed wheel, the spoke wheel there on the top of the columns. Oh, and look, we even have
Yeah, that's beautiful.
a little cast iron
Yeah.
stairway, spiral staircase.
Let's see.
That's where we all go to spiral up.
How odd.
Nice dragon
Why
there.
are you so prevalent here in Melbourne? Oh, dragon.
Dragon's seen it. We've got our owl hiding there.
Puff
But then
the
it's all-
magic dragon.
You know, it's like Australian alligators, we've got a kookaburra, butterfly, we've got
This isn't actually an old
reading
book.
to.
Apparently not an old sculpture.
Yeah, this is new. We've got a possum, but it's all Australian, but this big dragon wrapping around it all.
Alright,
Hello,
are you
Puff.
guys ready to
Okay.
see the interior of the library?
This is, we're going under the dome of the Melbourne State Library.
Looks like a grand ballroom, doesn't it?
It
Like
does.
a massive theatre. Like this is so big, guys, and it's so ornate. I have to get closer to looking at the ornateness of the banisters.
It's just these little balconies everywhere. Portal windows. All this, you know, the usual facading.
This is
Again.
the dome that in lots of the photos it goes up and it goes down.
Yeah,
it goes
yeah.
up and
This is the breathing dome. And yeah, again, all this, you know, facading's got nothing to do with Australia at all.
I mean, this is so spectacular and grand.
It's ridiculous. And that dome is what? I mean, that's more than 100 foot up, isn't it? That's huge.
So this was built 20 years after Melbourne was founded, like this scale.
20
years. Let's go up to the top there and see what it looks like for coming down.
Oh, all right. All right, so we're upstairs in the National Gallery, and what have we found here, Kelly?
Some giant books. And look how elaborate these giant books are. These are gorgeous. These are books from the old. These are Tartarian books.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. They're illustrated. They're massive. And look at the illustrations.
And that is, you know, these are the pictures we've been showing for ages of these star cities, right?
Yeah.
Is that Melbourne?
Yeah.
Is that Melbourne?
It totally looks like a star city.
It is a star
Let me
city.
read. Let me take a
100%.
photo. Everything. Oh no, that's Paris.
That's Paris, so that's Paris.
So
Now, across here we've got another giant
and
book
that
and another map.
That's also Paris.
And then up here we've got a couple of old world photos of Paris. The same thing, guys.
I mean, we could
Lights.
have been there today. That's what we've been
Yeah.
looking at. And look at the size of
Literally,
this book.
now look at this book.
Oh my god.
Look at that. Look at that
I mean-
artwork.
This is amazing. This apparently was made in 1827.
1827, guys. Or was it found in 1827? I mean, look at the
There's
size.
435 illustrations in this.
Wow.
435.
Let's see, what does the cover look like? Can we see the cover? No, they're not letting us see the cover. They have hidden it, but
Oh, look, some more.
over down here.
They're still massive books. This could have been like one of those little pocket dictionary size books. It's now winter. But yeah, there you go. Some giant books from the giant era.
And of course,
I mean, look how intricate and gorgeous they are. This is before the printing press.
and we can only see one page. We can't see what else is in these books.
1845.
And they won't let us see the covers the way they're set up. But I mean, look at this picture, guys. Look at this. I mean,
That's
as intricate as the buildings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We almost passed these giant books. How great, there's giant books here in Melbourne.
And these spiral staircases are in every corner. And if we look down here, you'll see, got a point in the middle and then we've got 8. It's sectioned into 8. It's an octagon, and as you'll see, it's an 8-sided building, right? Everything in symmetry. And does this look like it was built as a library? Look at these balconies, right? That's how many books they can fit. This is not a library. There's so much space, but hardly any room, apart from what, these tables. There's no room for the books. There's just a few bookshelves on the wall. It's not built as a library. Ridiculous.
Let's go to the top.
Here we are.
We've made it to the top. Level 5's out of bounds, weirdly enough. But
Here's our dome, and you can see it's an octagon, and of course reflected in the octagon at the bottom. And like Kelly said, like we've been saying, there's not enough room for books here.
yeah, like the books seem to be definitely an afterthought of this library. Like it definitely is something that is it seems to be built for books and like conceptualize this, guys. This is known as the National Library. From the beginning it was introduced, which means it was all books. Now, but 20 years into Melbourne's foundations as a colony, did we need a library that's 1, 2, 3, 5 stories high and goes underground just for books? Like, this building is not set up to hold books. Like, they're an afterthought. They've been put around, but if you look at the books that are actually down here, they're weird shit, like how to play chess and...
Is that what they are
They're
they?
basic stuff you'd find in any public library. This was not built for books. Well, not books of not for our cultural books.
Yeah. And you can see, where the books are on these little balconies. Doesn't look like we've got access to. They're just for show.
Yeah, they may not even be books. They could
Exactly.
Be like
it's just there to
IKEA
sort of
cardboard.
give us the idea that there are books here, but there's actually no books here, guys. Really, there's just these. On these 3 levels, that's all we get. A couple of bookshelves of books, and this is supposed to be the state library.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think it would be built so they could have rows and rows and rows, like the libraries that we see, right? 4 stories, and you've got books everywhere. But this, I don't know. What do you reckon? Ballroom? I don't know. This was not a library.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
It was a place to gather, I think, and build energy.
It does hold an extensive art collection, so we'll have a quick view of that on our way out, just to see if there's anything interesting. If we can find it, spot a giant or so.
Oh, a giant.
That'd be fun.
That would be good. Yes. And look, underneath all these portals, these little holes. So again, we've theorised that these portals might be for pumping sound or vibration out. So I wonder if those holes have got something to do with it as well. And same thing, right? All the the logos and the facading, none of it's got anything to do with Australia or Victoria.
I mean, really, what would have been Australia back then? I mean, they wouldn't even had time to see Australia. What is Australia to them? There is no Australia.
Exactly.
What are we, just represented by a kangaroo? Is that Australia?
Pretty much. Slouch hat, kangaroo and a beer, right?
Vegemite.
And Vegemite. Let's see if we can find some art. Alright, we're at the art gallery. Is this Melbourne?
That's Burke Street.
Burke Street, look at that. What's the year?
1912.
1912. Got some old trams here. Again, Melbourne in the past.
Is Collins Street, 1912.
1912, completely built out.
And trams, mud flooded floors though.
Yeah,
Look at the dirt floors.
exactly right. No roads
It's like the
yet.
trams are coming through the dirt.
Bit of
East Melbourne apparently.
landscapes.
That's East Melbourne.
East Melbourne.
A bit made up there, that one.
Oh, is that Rasputin? No. That is Alan Panton. Don't know who that is.
No.
That is a light.
All right, that's St. Paul's. So that's the cathedral. So this is the bridge. So apparently Flinders Street's around here, I think. Anyway.
And again, built out but mud all over the roads. This is, of course, what they want us to believe.
This is Port Phillip. So this is Melbourne in 1836.
Okay, so this is 1836, and you've seen the pictures, right? Of what was it, around 1860, I think, and it was completely built out.
Yeah,
completely.
40 years later. Yeah.
I mean, and literally from tents, right, from this,
Yeah.
right, to these amazing buildings like the one we're standing in.
Yeah.
So
Interesting that all the mounds and hills are there. Interesting.
yeah.
Did they just have to bury it, like dig it out?
dig it out. Again, massive doorways, and we have to show you this. Look at this. So that's Melbourne. Obviously, this is a newer picture.
Yeah.
You can see completely built out. Here we have an old dingy image of the old world. Here we go, 1889. I mean, and that almost looks like a photo. That's pretty cool. 1889, everything built up, finished out. But look at the roads, they're still dirt. And guys, look, can you see this man carrying his baskets?
Yeah.
That's the level of tech,
Yeah.
all right? But they
Although-
built this.
Yeah. And there's the lights. They do have the trams there
We've got the
running
trams.
through the dirt.
The tram's running, but everyone else is just on horse and cart.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right? It doesn't make sense, of course, antiquity.
So do you remember we showed you the construction site? Where we showed that's this.
Oh,
That
wow.
is where so that's the town hall we showed you, and that's the construction site. That's where this has all been taken down.
They've ripped it all down
Yeah.
and they're replacing it with
Yeah.
black boxes. And horses were always different, look different in the old
They
photos,
did
don't
much
they?
longer.
Longer. I mean, were they taller?
1865 Melbourne Cup.
Melbourne Cup.
Like that means that
And
there was a
we
lot
get-
of horses here.
We get
And
this
know
funny
that's-
story that they used to draw them like this because, what do they say? That no one knew how they looked when they were galloping until photography came in,
What?
right? And that's why they say we get funny things like this and like this. Because in all these photos they run with 2 feet forward and 2 feet back, but horses actually run side to side.
And look at the size of the horse to the
But
man.
exactly, look at the size. These are big horses.
And there's so many of them. Would we really have had a Melbourne Cup right back then?
What was the year?
1865.
1865, guys. All from, a couple of horses, right, that were brought over 60 years earlier. Suddenly Australia was full of horses.
Yeah.
And good thoroughbred horses,
Very
right?
thoroughbred. Do any of these people?
Oh, what's that?
So pretty. Okay, that is.
Oh, do they look like pyramids at all peoples?
This is a homestead. I don't know. Don't know.
No, but very pyramid looking.
What's this?
And then we have, of course, right?
This is called Black Thursday.
We have to have the war, you know?
1851.
Look at the
It's about
sky.
devastating fire.
Ah, okay. Fires, of course. I mean, look at the sky. Smoke, red. And everyone's just, I don't know, losing it, right? Because there's a fire somewhere. These people don't seem to be near the fire. What is that?
Yeah.
Looks like a dragon.
So that's a kangaroo, by the way. This was not painted in Australia. Hang on, let me read this.
A kangaroo here.
It depicts the devastating fire of 1851. Oh, that threatened to consume Victoria. After returning to England, 3 years on this painting. So this is saying this is about a fire in 1851 on Victoria.
So there you go.
So this apparently is set in Melbourne or Victoria in 1851.
So this is 3 years after, gosh, it was founded. So one, they had to have built up enough in 3 years to have a city to burn. And then, of course, it burnt down. And what they do, rebuild it all. I mean, this is the thing about these stories. We get these ridiculous timelines, but then in the middle, they always burnt to the ground and got rebuilt. So it's even
oh my God! And the
more,
detail in these paintings, like 1851, this was painted. Look at the lighting on this and the details.
We have birds here, so birds falling from the sky, no doubt. But this, I mean, I don't know, it could be a kangaroo, but what are these bits coming out, poking upwards? They look like wings.
Yeah, they're weird. It's weird.
And of course our sheep, because
And
what do we
what's
have,
this?
like 30,000
What's
sheep?
that?
What is
This is like a machine. Or is it a skull?
that? Looks like it's supposed to be a skull, but it looks kind of machine-like, doesn't it? Weird.
That is weird. That's a weird painting.
Weird painting.
I don't know what's in here.
And here we have another room, and these, architecture is just insane. Insane.
Okay, my favourite and our very last video for today, because woo, we've done a walk
my
today.
gosh,
Oh my God, our
yes.
feet are killing us. So this is RMIT campus. So what? But of course, we've shown you so much today. This is just like yet another of the same style, but we'll do it quickly. It's one of my favourites because it's got a very Harry Potter-esque style. So we'll cross the road.
Alright, so this is all RMIT, Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology.
Amazing, isn't it?
Of course you need some antiquitech and, an airship base. Of course you need cathedral windows. You need it to look like a church.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but you do. And there you go. So these were all old buildings and they've all been taken over and turned into the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
And of course,
scale of these.
completely mud flooded.
Yes. I mean, we're just really showing you the same scene over and over and over again. I think for the worldwide audience that watches this, you're actually going to be quite blown away by this compilation on Melbourne at how unbelievably not Australian it is.
And this is just like this is just a little bit of what's here. I mean, look at the thickness of this door. I mean,
And
wow.
that's nothing till we get to the front entrance. I mean, this is thick.
this is
Thick.
thick.
I mean, these were built to last something.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, I mean, you don't build this thick and this solid for no reason. Like there was an intention behind the design of these structures. We don't know what that is yet. This is
one of
just
the
a side
doorways.
entrance.
It's just a side, just a little door. Just a little door.
And when you juxtapose it with the city around you, it's just such an extraordinary thing. Like honestly, until you visit the city, the world has no idea.
Is that glass in there?
No, it's got wood. It's got
It's
wood
got
up.
wood. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's wood. So something's been blocked off in there.
Yeah, I mean, until you actually walk the streets, you really have no idea of how insanely old world Australia is. This is at one of the main entrances. I mean, just nestled amongst the rest of the cityscapes is Camelot.
Why not?
And you know what? The majority of people walk past these buildings and don't even notice them.
No, exactly.
They're so programmed out of this grid timeline that they don't even see it.
No, don't see
Like
it.
if you look straight down there, it's just like a castle.
Yeah. Look at that. And then of course, as we come up, we can see it on the steps. Completely mud flooded.
Yeah. So we won't walk around that way, we'll go the other way, but yeah, you can see it's just like, it defines the corner of this street, I guess.
Massive.
Oh yeah, side of it.
This is the side of that building, got the tower up there. Same, I mean, half the buildings here look like they're just cathedrals. And then the other half look like they're castles. I mean, look at this, man. This is like Harry Potter's house.
I know, it's so Harry Potter. I love this one.
It's just, and of course on the top we've got the square domes that we see with the fencing on them. But so many of these features are mixed over here. Like normally we don't see those roofs on buildings like this. They normally got a bit of a different look, but of course here, and of course guys, what have we got down here, right? But lower levels, you can see right in there, they're still using it, got all the windows. And of course they get smaller as we go up the street. But look at this.
This is one of my favourite ones. Pretty good for a campus. Can you get a longer? Yeah. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. And then if you swing around, you've got this castle flanking it. You've got the dome of the library, which we were just in. And then behind us is the Melbourne jail.
Dome, and then we've got that castle there.
Yeah.
Even this looks like an old world
this
facaded
whole campus
building.
is all red brick.
So it's just, and like, you know, more mud flooded windows.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous, guys.
And I would take us down to the bathhouse, but we're running out of time, Campbell.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to come back next year, Cal.
So look, this is our little what would you say?
It's a little
Expose of
bit of a tour.
Let's put it on both of us. Can we do that?
We can.
All right.
We're here.
Windswept Tartarian hunters, but this is our expose of Melbourne. We hope you've enjoyed it. This is where Campbell's going to cut all this together now, and what you've just watched is basically our 6-hour march around Melbourne City to show you guys how unbelievably old world this city is and how it completely defies the narrative in every sense of the word.
Completely. So yeah, we did the walk on Sunday, so we just thought we'd show you some of the buildings for people who couldn't get here, to show you what's around and what everyone saw. And I mean, I'm sure you'll agree, this is Gotham City, right? It was built by Batman, so let's, it's
what do you think? This is the first time you've seen it.
I mean, this is to me, it's 100%. This is an old world city that was found. And I mean, what's really got me about Melbourne is the tall buildings and all the towers, man. This was Airship Central. Like seriously, there's no other explanation that, I mean, no doubt there is, but nothing that comes to mind, right? Like
lighthouses,
but that would be for airships, because that would tell them where to go at night time, where to land. They've all got these balconies that you can get out, but all the doors have been blocked up. And we've all seen the photos of, the Empire State Building, right, with the airship stock.
Yeah.
I think that's what was going on, right?
So if anyone wants to come to Melbourne to here in Australia, or anyone in the world sees this and they think, you know, Australia is just like this young country, just got its own little uniqueness to it. It's bullshit. This city, this true, we'll do Sydney and we'll do all the other cities, but they're all the same. Like, Australia is the remains of this wonderful civilization that came before the hijacking, and we're no exception here. The difference is we have this amazing 200-year container.
Exactly.
So we can really you know, cross-reference it really, really well, because after 250 years ago, nothing was meant to be here.
Exactly. And of course, all these buildings are the same as the buildings that they tell us are 500-600 years old in Europe. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we hope you've enjoyed our little walk. You know, this is mainly, you know, for everyone who hasn't been to Australia, but everyone who was here. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? Australia, 200 years old.
Meh.
Melbourne formed.
Oh my God.
First people here, 1835, a city,
Yeah.
1848, and by 1860, the richest city in the world and completely built out.
Yep, absolutely.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, my feet are sore, we're hungry, it's freezing cold.
We're going to get some food, go sit down, and bid you all adieu, and we will talk to you all on the next upload.
Love ya.
Love you all. Bye.